Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
Bandwidth for the Tech Guy is provided by CacheFly. CacheFly.com. Hi, this is Leo Laporte, and this is my Tech Guy Netcast. This show originally aired on the Premier Networks on Sunday, May 10th, 2015. Happy Mother's Day, Mom! This is episode 1186. Enjoy. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the Tech Guy. Time to talk computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography and smartphones and now smartwatches. There's always a new category where the old ones roll off. You know, standalone GPS is gone. Yeah, standalone MP3 players kind of, fading fast. But hey, we got smartwatches, so there you go. That's one of the things that's fun about technology. It's always changing. Phone number 8888 Ask Leo. That's 888-827-5536, and that is toll free in the United States and Canada. So we'd love to hear from our Canadian friends. Actually, from people all over the world, because you can use Skype to reach us, and because it's a toll-free number in the U.S., it won't cost you anything to use Skype. 8888 Ask Leo. The website is techguylabs.com. Techguylabs.com. It's a difficult balance, the balance between protecting us against threats, terrorist threats in particular, very difficult to do, versus protecting our privacies at home. And it's been a big debate, of course, ever since now more than almost 2 years ago, the Edward Snowden revelations, which I think everybody kind of now agrees. There was some question at first, is this real? Is he making this up? I think everybody now, due to the volume of information and the response of the U.S. federal government, everybody agrees that pretty much everything Edward Snowden's saying was true. He wasn't making it up. We now know that the NSA was gathering mass amounts of information, not only about enemies abroad, but about American citizens in their collection of, their just indiscriminate collection of telephone data. It's also thought that they're also collecting internet data, everything, basically. It's just being filtered through the NSA and scanned for information. So a little cause for celebration. I mean, all of this really happened after 9/11. And the Patriot Act was passed after 9/11 to protect us. Patriot Act gave kind of unprecedented, wide-ranging permission to do all kinds of spying in the interest of national security. And I understand that. And we certainly want to be safe at home. And I, in fact, don't think that in any case the three-letter agencies that are doing this information gathering are anything but patriotic. I fully believe that. That doesn't matter if the issue is, but I don't think anybody should have the right to listen in on my internet conversations or my phone conversations or read my email. I don't think that you should have the right to say no, unless you have probable cause to think me a terrorist. I don't think you have the right to do that. Well, the Second Circuit Court of Appeals this week on Thursday upheld that opinion at, I think, a really kind of watershed moment in the Patriot Act. They said that the NSA's bulk collection of Americans' phone metadata, who you call, when you call them, what numbers you call, that kind of thing, was not justified by the Patriot Act, and it is illegal. Now, of course, I'm sure that this will be appealed, but if the higher court doesn't overturn it, it could be the end of it. One of the biggest espionage programs in history on us, on the Americans. And, of course, the Patriot Act comes up for renewal in about not even that long, June 1st, a few weeks, 3 weeks, I guess. So maybe that's a little signal to Congress. Maybe you should rethink this. The court said, we hold that the text of Section 215 of the Patriot Act cannot bear the weight the government asks us to assign to it. It does not authorize the telephone metadata program. We do so comfortably, again, the court, in the full understanding that if Congress chooses to authorize such a far-reaching and unprecedented program, it has every opportunity to do so and to do so unambiguously. But until it does, we decline to deviate from widely accepted interpretations of well-established legal standards. It just doesn't meet the test. Very good news. And something that's important to understand, and maybe the NSA, the NSA is full of brilliant mathematicians, computer scientists, very, very smart people who I think, if they think about it, understand some of the fundamental problems with this. My friend Cory Doctorow wrote a novel, I think it was a kid's novel, a young adult's novel, in which he talks about the mathematical issue behind the NSA's mass collection. Good article in The Week this week by Ryan Cooper describing this issue that my friend Cory brought up in the first place. Here's the description. See if you can do the math, and it's not hard math. Let's say you've got some technique, some machine, some computer that can determine whether someone is a terrorist with 99.9% accuracy. That would be pretty good, wouldn't it? I don't think we have such a thing. 99.9% accuracy. That's a terrorist right there. See that? That's a terrorist. Well, here's the problem. If you collect, let's say, 1 million phone records and you run that machine against it, you're going to have 1,000 false positives. 99.9% means 1 in 1,000 will be wrong. There's 1,000 in a million. That means 1,000 false positives. And every one of those positives, or false positives, the FBI has to go out and investigate. The FBI is getting a little frustrated, frankly, because this mass collection is producing so many false positives. Bruce Schneier, who's a security guru, writes, in the years after 9/11, the NSA passed on to the FBI thousands of tips per month. There's that number again. Every one of them turned out to be a false alarm. The cost of tracking these down was enormous and ended up frustrating FBI agents who were obliged to investigate all the tips. Here's the problem. Whether the legality of the mass phone collection program is still in play, and I guess it is until the higher court says, yes, that Second Circuit opinion is right, the practicality of it is problematic. Unless you have a perfect system for identifying terrorists in all of that data, you're creating so many false positives that it's just not working. It can't work. Just purely mathematically, it can only frustrate. And surely the NSA knows that. But I also understand that, again, and I don't question the patriotism of these three later agencies. I think people become CIA agents, NSA agents, FBI agents, law enforcement, because they care. They're patriotic. They want to serve. And particularly in these big federal agencies, they want to protect us. They do. And they're doing what they can. But they have to think about what they're doing, whether the costs to us as a society are worth it, and whether it's effective. And pure math shows you it's going to be tough for that to be effective. So don't fear this court decision. It doesn't mean all of a sudden terrorists will have free reign. In fact, it might even mean they go back to more traditional means of ferreting out terrorists that have a higher success rate and fewer false positives. Might even make us safer. And it certainly will improve our privacy. Don't you think? 8888 Ask Leo. That's, I think that's a very important story this week in technology. Not the only story. There's lots more to talk about, but I wanted to bring this up. Partly because I think it's an important ruling, but also because it's not necessarily a bad news for the fight against terrorism. You do know the NSA has a program they call Skynet. This is another one from the Snowden materials. Skynet was the Terminator's, the computer that the machines created to rule the human race. Skynet uses phone location and call metadata from, guess what, bulk phone call records to detect suspicious patterns. Skynet looks for terrorist connections. Wonder how effective it is. Do you think it's 99.9% effective? 8888 Ask Leo. Let's talk. High tech. We can talk about your computer problem, too. It's okay. It doesn't have to be issues of grand national importance. 888-827-5536. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 99.9% lets 1,000 false positives through for every million. And, of course, million is a small number. It's probably billions, if you think about it. So what if you had a billion, you're collecting a billion phone records a year, that means you get 1 million false positives a year? What are you going to do with those? It's just math. Yeah, you think Sky, I love it. Mars Herm says, do you think Sky B will go after the NSA for using the word Sky in Skynet? That's another good story. Microsoft has been warned. Skype violates Sky's intellectual property, SKY. Sky is a big satellite and broadcast network in Europe. We used to be on B-Sky B. I'll have to ask my watches. Thank you, Mike. This won't go on for much longer. What are you looking at me like that for, Heather? Which one is prettier? You don't like this one either, do you? Everybody's, you know, I feel so bad. I feel like I have no taste because I ordered this. I thought, oh, this is nice. This is the LG Urbane. I thought, oh, that's pretty. I like it. And everybody says, that is butt ugly.
It's the rose gold, I think.
Yeah. I saw a silver one. Guy was in the studio yesterday, works on the at Intel for the wearables division of Intel. And he was wearing the silver. It does look better. I was foolish. But look at this watch face. This is cool. Actually, I have to go like this. Did I show this yesterday?
You were doing that hand motion, but
I don't know if I
about.
ever explained.
I just thought you were trying to dance or
this
get rid of your
is
carpal tunnel.
The hiker watch face. So it has a compass, which I have to do that to reset. It has an altimeter. I'm 6 feet below sea level. I think that I have to change that. I have to change the reference altitude. And steps. So it's like a hiker's. Isn't that cool? That's kind of cool. But I think I have to do this. You know, you ever have to do that with your phone to reset the magnet or whatever the direction?
I did not know that.
No, yeah, now it's working.
Compass.
I am heading west.
Dad this for Father's Day.
I know, this is cool, isn't it?
He's a super Uber hiker.
Is he?
Yeah.
See, I'm heading west. Oh, you can't see. Wait a minute. Gotta push the button. I'm heading west. Go west, young man.
Does it have GPS so I can find him if he gets lost?
No, but it has to have a phone, so the phone does. You know, a lot of the phones have help buttons now.
Oh.
I turned it on my Galaxy S6, and I can't remember what you have to press home 3 times rapidly to trigger it. And I guess I kept doing that by accident. And Lisa kept getting messages saying, "Help! I'm at coordinates," and it'd give the GPS coordinates. And it would send pictures, and it would send sound
of you not being mugged.
Of me not being mugged. Leo's in trouble. Quick. Thank God she had the good sense to go, nah, I don't think so.
In Petaluma?
I don't think so. Where is he? Oh, he's at work?
It's safe.
Isn't
Unless you got
funny?
pecked to death by a pack of wild chickens.
I turned it off, but she said, no, leave it on. It's funny. Because it's always a picture of my pocket, inside of my pocket. Like dark. All right, I got to get this where I want it and leave it, right? I have some bad habits. I was watching the Screensavers video, and I scratch and I move the mic a lot. I got to just fold my hands and sit still. I'm a radio guy. I'm not used to the fact that anybody can see me like with my tics.
You talk with your hands beautifully.
Oh. You said that as if you cared.
Of course. The first thing you did when you came today, you were like, da-da.
I'm a little bit Italian. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms. I know sometimes people say, oh, that's a Hallmark holiday. I don't know who created Mother's Day, but it's a good day. You know, you should celebrate moms every day, but today especially. Call your mom. This is used to be, I don't know if it still is, the busiest day of the year for the telephone network. I bet it's not anymore. I bet people don't text your mom, call her. In fact, Skype her or FaceTime her. That's how I talk to my mom. Because she's back east, so I don't see her much. But I use my iPhone and call her iPhone with the camera on. And it's almost like being there. It's nice. It's better than a phone call.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, Skype your mom.
And she can say what a handsome boy you are and how beautifully your hair is
Mostly
grown
she
back.
says, you look tired. Are you getting enough rest? Are you getting enough to eat? That's mom, right? That's mom
a
talk.
mom thing, yeah.
That's mom talk for I Care. Happy Mother's Day. Are you doing something special for your mom today?
Yeah.
Anything? You taking her out to the ball game? Or?
She's not a ball game sort, but we'll cook
Do
and
something
eat and
fun.
drink.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
The kitchen is the most important room in the house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
get her out of it. Or she can sit over there and
she
drink
could sit and
champagne
watch while you work.
and go, oh, my God, I think she's burning it.
Who should I talk to here? We got some great callers I can see already.
Nick's got an issue that he can't tune to Mom for, so he's turning to you.
Yeah, Mom. Mom is my tech support. Hi, Nick. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Nick's in Thousand Oaks.
Leo, greetings from Santa Cruz High, class of 1971.
Wow, I was 73. We must have passed in the like ships in the night.
I think so.
I actually got there in my junior year, I think. So you probably graduated the year I got there.
Yeah. Anyway, I am calling about hardware requirements for streaming video through YouTube, a live event, and I've got the channel set up, and I was experimenting with Wirecast. My question relates to the hardware. I have a camcorder with HDMI out. Can I do it through a tablet, or do you recommend a laptop for something like that?
So the tablet won't probably do what you want it to do. You want to run Wirecast. You're going to need a computer.
Okay.
And the computer needs to be hooked to the internet, and it needs to be connected to the camcorder via the HDMI cable. That's why a tablet probably wouldn't work, right? You don't have HDMI into the tablet. Actually, I take it back. Some tablets have HDMI, but I think it's out only.
Right, and that's most notebooks as well are that. So I'm assuming I need some kind of interface between the computer and the camera.
Yeah, you need the capability of HDMI in. You also need, and this is important, a camcorder that offers live HDMI. HDMI, folks, is the connector. You've all seen it now. It's what HD TVs use. It's a kind of a weird rhomboid connector that goes into the back of the TV and goes into your Blu-ray player or any other high def signal. Because many camcorders now have HDMI out, but make sure it's HDMI live, because a lot of times, not always, but sometimes a camcorder only has that HDMI out for when you play back the recording.
Right, that is a concern. So, assuming that I do most notebooks have an HDMI in port?
That's an interesting question. Obviously, when they put HDMI on a laptop, they're thinking mostly that you're going to be connecting the laptop to a TV and watching it.
Right, exactly. Now, I've seen devices that will go from a HDMI interface and then convert it to a Thunderbolt, and then I can plug it into a Thunderbolt port on a Mac.
Yeah, and Mac certainly will do it.
Okay.
I'm just looking to see if I can find a list of laptops that accept input to their HDMI port, and I don't see one off the top of my my head. Laptop, a lot of out. That's a good question. I hadn't really thought about. If you might need an HDMI capture card, you're right. But I've got to. So you haven't purchased any hardware yet?
No.
All right. So that's the first thing to do is make sure you get a camcorder with HDMI, live HDMI output.
Okay.
And then it might be better. The way we do it, of course, is completely differently. We do stream on Ustream, and we would do YouTube if Google would let us, but we have ads in our content. They don't like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, but the way we do it is we take an HDMI camcorder, which has live HDMI out. We use Canon Vixias. They're inexpensive. They're very good quality.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Blackmagic converter that converts it to a different format because the switcher we use, the NewTek TriCaster, takes SDI in. So that's what we got to find for you. I'm going to have to do some research unless the chat room knows. Imogen has an HDMI. I don't even know Imogen. Oh, they make an HDMI input card. Thing is, I would guess, I'm going to have to look, but I would guess that many of these laptops would take HDMI in. What if you wanted to play, a camcorder into your laptop, just as you're doing for editing? I would guess that they would have in as well as out.
Okay.
So, maybe...
Do you have any camera recommendations off the top of your head?
Well, as I said, we love the Canon Vixia, and that's a good choice. John, do you know off the top of your head if I could take HDMI out of a camera and play it back on my laptop or capture it? You can't. You need a video capture card. All right. So you're going to have to get... In fact, I would think the best thing to do would be get an external video capture card.
Okay.
And then you're going to want to ideally convert it not to USB, because you want a high-speed solution. This, what do we have here? This is a mini recorder that has HDMI in, and then what is that coming out of it? Thunderbolt? That looks like a mini display port. Is that Thunderbolt? Might be that's Thunderbolt. So that would work on a Mac. This comes from Blackmagic. So it would take HDMI from the camcorder, put it into the Macintosh. Would it do it live? I guess it would. And then you've got Thunderbolt, which is great. Now you can run Wirecast, which should see the Thunderbolt input, convert it to the format you need. I guess you're using Wirecast because you want to switch. What are you using the Wirecast for?
It's basically the free interface that YouTube offers.
I see. Okay, good. And then it goes and then uploads it to to YouTube. Okay, I think that should all work.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah. Good luck. What are you going to stream?
Pardon me?
What are you streaming? What are you going to broadcast?
This is a private event for certain people.
That's fine. Yeah.
All right.
Cool. I won't ask any more. Will you all be wearing masks? This is a great thing. YouTube Live is a really cool thing. You can also use Hangouts on Air to do this. Hangouts is the Google kind of video calling thing that does allow you to have more than one participant, I think up to 9 participants. And then if you use Hangouts on Air, which is a free service offered by Google, you can have interactivity with all these participants, kind of Skype-like over the internet interactivity, video and audio, and waving at each other and talking. And then the result of that is sent to YouTube, where not only can you watch it live, but it's stored, and then YouTube allows others to watch it later. Be careful with private stuff on YouTube. You can keep YouTube private, but I put anything on the internet, there's always that risk that maybe it won't stay quite so private. Enjoy your secret wedding. Leo Laporte, I guess, I don't know. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. We're going to take a break, come back with more in just a bit. Stay here. So so no laptop then, because it would be some sort of conversion it would require.
I don't know that
it's digital. You don't really need video capture. Well, but it's already converted because the HDMI is bits. In fact, I guess this mostly is just converting it to a different format. That's right, Abstruse, and that's probably why he wants to use Wirecast. It's a private event.
Yeah, I mean, there's the Intensity Pro, which is another Blackmagic product. It's a video capture card.
I feel like if a laptop has an HDMI port, it's bits. It's all bits. There's no conversion. It should just be able to take the bits coming into it too.
But it's hooked up to the display.
Just go straight to the display card?
I imagine.
Yeah, what is the name of this? It's the Ultra Studio Mini Recorder. $137.
And we like it because it takes SDI and HDMI.
We use it. Do we use it?
Oh, yeah. Well, we have used it in the back studio.
Oh, okay.
You know,
we don't use it for our main production studio, but we have a little back studio.
To get like scopes and stuff on the Mac.
That's what we use it for. You guys just have dirty minds, that's all. They all think it's porn. I wouldn't put porn on YouTube. It seems to me that would not fly. So that's about $130. It's the Ultra Studio Mini. Blackmagic Design makes great stuff. We use a lot of their stuff, even though we asked and did not get a discount. We pay full freight. So you see, this takes SDI is the left one. That's serial digital interface. It looks like coax, and then the right one is, of course, a standard HDMI. And there's no controls, just the other end, Thunderbolt. You have to have a Mac, obviously, or one of the 2 PCs that takes Thunderbolt. He might have just saying YouTube to cover his tracks. They don't do HDMI in for copyright reasons. Might be the case, right? Because you could then copy a Blu-ray by playing it out. That might be, yeah.
This may not be compatible with HDCP.
Yeah. But again, nothing's outputting HDCP. I mean, he's just using a camcorder.
Oh, he's not.
Yeah.
No, but yeah.
Yeah. HDCP would fail all around because it would say, well, none of this is HDCP. What do we use to connect the Vixia to the TriCaster? What is that called? It's another Blackmagic.
Well, we use mini converters.
It's a Blackmagic mini converter that does basically it's like this: HDMI in to SDI out, and every one of the cameras has one of those. This kind of Burke designed a little rig to hold the camera and the converter.
I don't have any handy, but here's something that doesn't work.
Well, it doesn't matter if it works.
That's a $40 one.
This is a $40 one, Spectre from Seawell, SDI to HDMI. But we don't use these because it doesn't work.
Well, all of these are using them.
How did our cage? Oh, because people kept hitting their heads on it. We eliminated the cage on camera too.
It's Burke's phase 2 where he.
It's phase 2.
Which isn't as accessible.
Right, but it's up in the air.
Yeah, and it makes that.
Doesn't hit people in the head when they sit in my chair. Thank you, John. I'm glad you were here to explain the intricacies. Huh?
I'm glad I'm here too.
Aw, you were here yesterday. You're here. John's here on his days off.
Yeah.
You're too kind. I got to give you more money. Got to pay you more. It's all right. I'll just take it out of the other employees.
Privilege to work there.
No. John, you're making me blush. Oh, sorry.
How many people in the chat room would like to have this job?
Yeah, I know. Thank you. Yeah, it's the G20. Is that what we use? Yeah, we were using the G10s, and I think we use the G20 now. We heart Jammer B. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. We kind of behind-the-scenes conversation during the break about why or whether a laptop with an HDMI port would accept input. And I think the consensus is mainly due to copy restrictions that the movie industry would impose on laptop manufacturers and on operating system software creators, because they'd be afraid it would be used to capture Blu-ray output and then steal it, pirate it. So I think it's our expectation that even if you had HDMI in, it would merely play it on the screen. That we wouldn't be able. This is why, by the way, there was no Blu-ray ever and never will be in a Macintosh, no Blu-ray player. Steve Jobs called it a bag of hurt. And it's not so much that it's difficult to play back Blu-ray movies. It's the copy restrictions, the copy protection that the movie industry insists on that make it so difficult. Windows does it. Macintosh does not. Carrie in Marina Del Rey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Carrie.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well.
Listen, I want to talk to you about a great Mother's Day gift, but I want to put this conversation in a little context. We spoke a few years ago about cinemagraphs. I'm a digital artist.
Love those.
I wanted to display my work on the wall.
Yeah.
And at the time, there was really no way to display them. All the commercial digital photo frames wouldn't do it.
A cinematograph is, I guess in most cases, an animated GIF.
You got it.
So the idea of a cinematograph is everything in the picture is not moving except one item. So maybe you had a frosty mug of beer and everything's sitting still, but the bubbles are coming up. And it's a cool effect. It's a very cool effect.
It's sort of like, you know, the Harry Potter sort of things.
I wanted to do this in the wall of our studio. You know, most radio stations have pictures of the talent on the wall. I wanted to have Harry Potter-like portraits of the talent that would every once in a while wink at you or smile.
Exactly.
Wouldn't that be cool?
I'll tell you how to do it. And you can do it as a present for your mother as well.
All right. Tell me.
Well, a few weeks ago, I was working on this, and I heard, I was listening to you, and I heard you start talking about exactly what I was using to drive it, which are Android mini PCs or sticks.
Yeah.
Or if you're more adventurous, I should say, the Raspberry Pi. Now, the way to do it is you have to get either a huge monitor or a smaller one. I prefer the ones that are really thin. And also the monitors that have external power supplies. So you only have 12 volts going in, so you don't have to worry about getting a shock if you touch something.
Very smart.
And more importantly, you want an HDMI output out of your mini PC, which will go right into the monitor.
So basically, the little mini PC, whether it's an Android stick, Intel's going to make a Windows 10 sticks, of course, a Raspberry Pi, which is a little teeny-weeny $35 computer. All of them have should have HDMI out that you could just put right into the back of the screen. The sticks are HDMI directly.
You got it. And what you do is you frame it, and it looks exactly like a picture frame. And more importantly...
you put a wooden frame around the monitor?
Yes.
Oh, how clever.
and actually, it's matted as well.
Oh, you even put a mat around it.
Yeah, and it looks incredibly good. But more importantly, listen to this. Once you put it up on the wall, you don't have to touch it because it's all wireless. You move your images from your main computer or from your phone via Wi-Fi.
So you basically you could do it via the internet if you set it up such a way so that you could even be somewhere else and give Mom a new picture every day if you wanted.
Exactly. Or if you're really ambitious, you could actually set up an app on the picture frame, and you can pick up things right out of
you could
Flickr.
A slideshow. Yeah.
Exactly. Now I use an app called QuickPick, and it displays animated GIFs in a slideshow. One of the few applications that will do it.
And that's a Windows app?
This is an Android app.
Android.
But I'm sure there's something there for Windows as well.
Yeah.
And more importantly, I can put it in as random. I can put anything I want in there. And if I really want to get my email on that, get my email on it too.
I really like this idea. So did you do this for Mom?
I did it for me. I'm a digital artist. I work with a website, and it's the first, actually, it's a stock house, and all we do are animated motion images.
Cinemagraphs, basically.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the artists are from all around the world.
The other way I was thinking of doing it for our studio was just tablets, right? You could buy an Android. They're not very big, but you could buy an Android tablet and have that running in a loop. But I like your idea. I think because then it looks like a real. You can get it big, right? It looks like
exactly. I used a 23-inch monitor. I bought it off eBay because you don't have to buy.
You don't need a super great monitor, no.
But you want something that's going to display something in 1920 by 1080 in HD.
HD, yeah.
And so my images look incredible. And, I could have just plugged it into the TV set, but that's a TV set. It's not a picture frame.
And it has too much going on. I like the idea of something really thin, very simple. You plug it into the back. You're going to have a power cord come out of it somewhere.
But just a small cord because I'm only using an external brick at the bottom.
Right.
And also, here's what I also did. I power the little mini PC by taking a 12-volt converter, converts it down to 5 volts for USB.
I like it. Hey,
So
you know what?
Plug it in and it works.
Carrie, this would be we should do this project on one of our shows on Twitch. Why don't you send me an email so we can connect? Because I'd love to see this as a project. It'd be kind of fun.
I taped my progress. I have videoed it.
Where is it?
I'll send you.
Send us a link. Yeah, that's great, Carrie. And what's your site that you work for? Do you want to give it a plug?
Sure. It's called Come Alive Images. It's the first stock house that only deals with animated GIFs, cinemagraphs, and anything that actually comes alive.
I love it. And on your front page, you have a young woman at a jukebox, and nothing's moving except her hair is slightly blowing. And I love that.
And if you look at the artists, they're all from all around the world. We only have 3 in the United States. They're from Slovakia.
Oh, how interesting.
They're from everywhere else. And then it's all licensed out like a regular stock house.
I love the idea of having Harry Potter-style portraits on my wall with a nice ornate gilt wooden frame. And you would think, you look at it and you go, oh, that's nice. They have pictures of the staff there. And every once in a while, they just wink at you.
Exactly.
That'd be hysterical.
Wouldn't that be fun?
That'd be so much fun.
More importantly, if you gave this to your mom, you could actually send her brand new photos every single day.
And I could blow her a kiss every 5 minutes.
That's right.
Oh, Mom would like this. What a great mother's idea. Thank you, Carrie.
Okay, listen, have a great one, Leo.
I love it. And again, the website is comealiveimages.com. And I think this would be a good project for us to do Maybe, John, we should do this in the new screensavers. It'd be a fun project to build our gallery of hosts on the wall, and they'd wink at you every once in a while. It's all in software. Or give it to mom. Is that, can you still can go out and buy digital picture frames, right? That was so hot 10 years ago. That's all we would talk about is digital picture frames. And sometimes what happens is the technology becomes so commonplace, nobody talks about it anymore. That may be what happened. Sometimes it just goes away and everybody says, yeah, don't do that anymore. Let me look at Amazon for digital. Oh, yeah. They've gotten cheap. Here's a 12-inch high-res photo frame with motion sensor for $99.99. What you're looking for is one that goes online, that has Wi-Fi, so that you could use Apple's photo sharing or some other photo sharing technique. I love the idea of having, as Carrie said, you could have a Flickr folder that's pictures for mom, and that the computer could periodically download the latest pictures for mom. What a great idea. 8888 Ask Leo. Somebody's pointing out you could do that with a Chromecast. It's true. As your screensaver, if you use a Chromecast in your television, I do this. I have Chromecast pick up images from Flickr and other sites and display them. It's a great little slideshow. Problem is, I don't want to leave the TV on all day. But it's nice if I wander away and come back to see those pictures. Apple TV does that too, doesn't it? 8888 Ask Leo. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More calls right after this.
Is putting it in the wood frame.
I love that idea. Would we use those tickle monitors? What would we use?
Well,
something cheap. 1080p should be cheap. You don't really want a computer monitor. You just want a cheap display.
Yeah, if they have cheap displays that don't have tuners and stuff that are well, like
yeah, Tickle has tuners, huh?
That thing on Jason's desk is curved.
Yeah, I don't want curved either.
It's a 1080p.
Here's a 21-inch 1080p Acer for $99.99.
Yeah.
So
you put a wooden frame, and that's still kind of big. 21 inches.
21 inches is like that,
that's
right?
Pretty, and we're gonna make their portrait.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. We don't have that many hosts. We just put them down. The host and staff. I think we do the staff. Yeah, there's lots of cheap choices. Here's AOC.
Yeah, but it's putting them in the wood frame.
I love the idea of wood frame, and that's going to cost more than the monitor, really. Here's a 27. That's kind of expensive. Because we don't care. We only want 1080p. Right, we don't need anything too. 32 inches, 1080p. That's a TV.
Yeah, it's a very
Acer has for $140. Here's a 24.
Yeah, I wish he had photos on his site of the actual what they look like on the wall in there.
I love the idea of putting a wooden frame, and he says he mats it too, which is hysterical.
Well, that makes the frame even bigger.
Right. So really, yeah. So in that case, maybe 21 is plenty, right?
Yeah. 21 is awful big.
Yeah, especially because you're going to do it in portrait.
Yeah.
1920 by 1080, 5-millisecond response time we don't care about.
Okay.
It's got a one DVI and one XVGA. It doesn't look like it has. Doesn't look like it has HDMI of all things. It's got to have HDMI, so that's not a good choice. Huh? What an interesting project. I want to do that as a project. Doesn't that sound like fun? The frame costs more than the monitor, Groot. That's right. Wood is much more expensive. Frames are really expensive. Night Train, you've always been our go-to guy for projects, right? Is this the same? Aren't you the guy who did me that great LED microphone flag? Oh, we could do time. If Megan smiled, it's half past. Megan smiles at every 10 minutes. We don't need audio, that's true. But just for convenience, those sticks, a lot of them are HDMI. They plug in via HDMI. So it's not that we need HDMI, it's just that that's how the plug works. Yeah. Yeah. I think the key is to figure out how you could kind of mass produce it relatively cheaply, right? So what's the simplest monitor that would work? What's the simplest framing that would work? I always wanted to do that in the lobby when you come in. You know how KGO has that? They just have all the pictures of the staff as you come in the door there. Most radio stations do that. It'd be fun to have just and yeah, every once you'd be sitting like this, not moving. They think it's a portrait. Every once in a while you go. We're just like Harry Potter. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Half past the hour, next hour, Chris Marquardt, our photo guy. We'll talk digital photography. We talk computers, the internet, smartphones, smart watches, home theater, whatever's on your mind. I'd love to talk to you. 8888 Ask Leo. We put links to everything we talk about in the show notes. That's free at techguylabs.com. No sign up. I don't want your email. Keep your email to yourself. techguylabs.com. Patrick's in Riverside, California. Our next call. Hi, Patrick.
Hi, Leo.
Hi.
I have a mobile DJ business down here in Southern California. I see you and Heather dancing it up in those breaks.
I think you need to come here and make us a dance party.
Yeah. I'll have to put a mix together for you guys, you know. And,
when you say mobile, what does that mean? Are you in a van?
Well, actually, I travel around and do parties.
You're mobile.
Around here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I somehow, for some reason, I kind of saw one of those giant vans that looks like a boom box with speakers on it, and you just like you go to wherever the food trucks are, and you open up the window and you serve hot mixes while everybody's eating. Wouldn't that be fun? I don't know. Maybe not a business, but anyway, what can I do for you?
Yeah, I'm having an issue with the Asus laptop where it turns off randomly. I noticed the behavior happens sometimes when I'm plugging in a USB or closing the lid even. And when I try to reboot, it sometimes won't power up unless I take the battery out. And
it sounds like my first reaction is maybe overheating. You know, laptops sometimes, as you're playing a game or whatever, that to protect the CPU, the system will shut down if it gets too hot. But this sounds more like a short. This sounds a little bit more serious. When you plug in a USB thing, it goes or close the lid. Yeah, that sounds like there might be a short somewhere. And that could be damaging. That could be more of an issue than you think. Is it in warranty?
No, it's out of.
Problem with laptops, they're really hard to fix. You know, you have to. Every laptop's different. All the parts are machined to fit that specific case. So even if you went back to Asus and said, oh, you know, they'd have to have it for that model specifically because everything is different. I guess the first thing is to make sure that the device isn't overheating. I made that in our chat room. Says I'm on an Asus laptop and mine overheats, shuts down because of that. So he says elevate the device for airflow. You can even go on eBay or shop around for $10 or less. You can buy a unit that plugs in a USB port and has fans that sit under the laptop and keep it cool. It's hard to say whether it's overheating or a short. If it's a short, that's more concerning because that could be the thing. You could actually make it stop working. So I guess what I would say is, since it's easy to fix the overheating, let's play with that a little bit. Make sure it's cool. You can install monitors that will check your motherboard sensor. Almost all motherboards and CPUs have sensors built into them that will tell you what their temperature is. And a motherboard monitor program will give you an idea of how it's happening. If it happens when you're doing a lot of work, that's overheating. But when it happens because you close the lid or you plugged in something, that more sounds like to me there's something that's shorting out. And that's very serious. That's something you don't want to mess around with. That could kill the whole thing. So try the fan first. Try keeping it cool. We'll put a link in the show notes to software that you can use to keep an eye on in Windows to keep an eye on the temperature of it. If it's temperature, it could be a fan's gone bad, or there's lots of dust in there that's impeding airflow. Could be that the thermal paste used to put the cooler fan on the CPU or the GPU was misapplied or dried out and isn't giving you a good contact, so it's not drawing the heat out. There's lots of reasons why a laptop especially would overheat. That's a tight enclosure in there. Mike, Portland, Maine, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Mike.
Hi, Leo. Thank you so much for taking my call and for your help.
Nice to talk to you again, Mike.
I got a new car, and because the new car has all sorts of crazy electronics in it, I finally have to get a smartphone. And being
after all this time, you still don't have a smartphone. True. Actually, for a long time, nobody wanted a smartphone in Maine because AT&T didn't work in Maine. You couldn't buy an iPhone in Maine because it wouldn't work.
Right, and up here in Maine, you can now get AT&T or Verizon, and there's U.S. Cellular. Good. And there's also, because there's AT&T, there's Cricket. And Cricket is their MVNO, and it's all the AT&T network. And being, I guess on the radio, you would call me a frugal individual of unknown origin.
Oh, I know where you're coming from. You're one of them maniacs, yeah. I'm not going to spend a penny unless there's a good reason.
I was wondering if you could tell me what Cricket phone I should be getting. I'm looking at the Moto E, which is $79.
I like the E a lot. The E is the value version of the Motorola X. And I had one for a while, and I was very impressed. Now, it's your first smartphone, so that's good news because you're not going to look at it and say, oh, this isn't as good as my Galaxy Note 4, because you don't have an experience of it. The E sacrifices a little bit in terms of screen quality. It's kind of a lower quality LCD. So you won't notice it, but to me, it looks a little washed out compared to the much more expensive phones. But in every other respect, it's a great phone. I was very impressed, and $75. That's not subsidized. That's out the door. That's the total cost of it, which is great.
Yeah, it's $80, and then they have something called, I don't know the HTC, the Desire 510, which is
that's kind of an older one. I'd get the E. I think the Moto E is a great choice. That's their value phone. I think it's a great choice.
The other question is, would it really be worth it if I really want to go nuts, and this would be really nuts for me, to spend another $220 and get a OnePlus One?
Well, kind of depends on you. I really like the OnePlus One. It was my pick for phone of the year 2014, even in the face of some very stiff competition from the big names, because it was so affordable and yet such a flagship phone. It's an excellent phone. You'll find the camera's better, the screen is bigger and better than the Moto E. It is a very, very good choice.
Is Android upgradable on it? Because you said
yes.
It's not real Android.
Well, it's not pure Android. Nothing is real Android except the phone sold by Google. Everybody else puts something on it. In the case of the OnePlus, I like it because they use a company's operating system called Cyanogen. And Cyanogen's been around a long time making modified firmware for other Android phones. They have a lot of experience. The CM12 you'll probably get on the OnePlus One, and if you don't, there'll be an update soon after you buy it. Gives you Android Lollipop 5.0 with some very nice additional features, and in my way of thinking, not a lot of cruft. It's pretty clean. They also offer, although it's harder to put it on there, OnePlus has severed ties with Cyanogen, so there won't be more updates to Cyanogen. But now they're going to do their own operating system, which they call Oxygen. And in fact, that is as close as you can get to pure Android. So that's excellent. I put Oxygen on my OnePlus, and I love it.
I don't know if I even have the skills.
You don't. Well, I don't know if you don't, but I'll tell you, that would be jumping in the deep end because you have to root the phone. I mean, there's instructions online. It's just a process of following the steps very closely, very carefully. But you have to root the phone, put what they call a modified recovery on it, which allows you to then put different firmware on it. And once you've done that, now you can put any firmware you want. Including, and by the way, this is the procedure OnePlus tells you to follow. The manufacturer says, this is how you put our operating system on there. I think that's just temporary. I think soon they'll offer it as an upgrade, over the air. It'll be easy. So if you want a better phone, look, it's your first smartphone. I often say it's better to buy, when you're a novice, to spend more money than less, because often novices underspend and then they get something that's hard to use and not great, and they go, I don't get it. What are people so excited about? So I think the E is a very, very good choice. But if you're willing to spend a couple $100 more, the OnePlus One is a very, very good phone, and it's certainly up there with every other phone on the market.
anything else to consider in those price ranges?
No, I think that's great. How much a month is Cricket?
Cricket is $35, $40 a month rather, including 2.5 gigs of 4G.
Yeah, I think that's a great deal. And AT&T should have a good network up there by now.
Oh, they do.
Are you in Portland? Are you in a city? Or are you in the country?
I'm in Portland,
yeah,
and
okay.
in Portland I can get any network that I want.
Yeah.
But it's just a question that you wander off Route 95, which is the main drag up here.
Yeah.
You're out of touch.
And you're in Stephen King territory.
Exactly.
So, hey, Mike, great to talk to you. Enjoy your. Let me know what you get. I'd be very curious how you like it.
Okay, I will tell you.
You've been saving all this money all this time. Spend a couple $100. By the way, I should mention, and I don't want you to be disappointed, as you enter the tech industry, you'll see this happens all the time. The OnePlus 2 will be announced in the next few months. But don't feel bad about that. The OnePlus 1 is still great. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, let's put a link to the... Let's put a link to that temperature monitor that you put in there. What was it? Core Temp? Thank you, Apple flopped. Core Temp. I haven't seen this one. Quite a few of these. But this looks great. This is for Windows. Core Temp 1.0. We'll put a link in the show notes. Looks like it's free, too, which is nice. Yeah. I don't generally, folks, recommend running. By the way, this is kind of old. It's from 2013, but that's all right. I mean, this isn't the kind of thing that you constantly need to improve on. I wouldn't run this unless you know you need it. It's more for a diagnostic. You can really bog your system down by running too many system tools on it. Kill your battery, stuff like that. Hello. I would like food. As you know, I'm a hearty eater. Huh? Staying alive. I know. We had pizza last night. We had pizza 2 nights in a row. I was surprised because Lisa's usually pretty good about keeping me away from that stuff. But we were here late last night editing, and she ordered. There might still be some in there, Italian for the crew.
Padres
video?
Was that an auto awesome?
I actually didn't see. I just saw the link to it. Was it good?
Like 4 or 5 stills, and the cool thing is Alex's glass. He takes a sip. In the 4 or 5 stills, Alex is taking a sip.
Well, we opened. Kevin Rose brought us some wine. It was from their wedding. It was really good, and so we opened that, and it was so good. And then let's see if I can find his picture to show everybody. He's doing a lot of fun behind the scenes stuff. Oh, maybe it's only on Twitter. Yeah, I don't see it here.
Yeah, it was just late. It was last night, so.
Yeah, no, I saw it going by, but I didn't look at the animation. What is he on Twitter? Is he Padre SJ?
I'm pretty sure.
That would be the one. Yeah, here we go.
Except that one's not moving.
Yeah, see, that's what I saw, but I got the impression there was a motion.
Yeah.
Yeah, because see, Alex is relaxing. There's Tanya, Brian Burnett, the editor, who's hating us right now, Lisa and me.
The cool thing is Alex is lifting up his cup.
Brian's going, oh my God, you can't take this anymore. Oh, wait a minute, here we go. Here's in the motion version. Oh, that's neat. That's the auto awesome, yeah.
Yeah, so Brian is putting his head in his hand, and
Alex
is taking a drink.
Oh, that's funny. That's funny.
All right. So
and I'm man-spreading. Jeez Louise.
What are you in the mood for?
Let's go look at the food bar. Actually, let me see what soup they're doing at the... I'm so sick of the Petaluma Market soups.
Yeah, there's 5 flavors.
Yeah, they just repeat them over and over, huh? May 10th. Arroz con pollo, split pea with ham, chili con carne, and vegan lentil. Ugh. They're all good. It's just I've had them as everybody who... I feel bad. Go look at somebody more interesting. I feel bad that they have to watch me choose my lunch. That's disgusting. I'm sorry, folks. This is not the show. This is the live behind-the-scenes show. Tasty lunch. Tasty. What should I eat? Tasty lunch here. I got salads, Caribbean cob, chopped veg. I often get this, although it has a lot. They've been putting a lot of bacon on that sucker. Santa Fe grilled chicken. That might be good. kind of a little Cinco de Mayo flavor. Heirloom beet. No, thank you. Spinach, applewood, bacon, chopped vegetable. Oh, they've been getting me this one instead. I don't want either one of those. How about a sandwich? I'm sorry. It's all about me, isn't it?
Somebody has to pick up the fork and put it in your mouth and best
Look how they spell croak with a G, Krog. It's a Krog.
Is it supposed to be a Q?
Yeah. That does sound good, though, doesn't it? It's so bad for you right there. Kevin and Daria look so thin and healthy. Oh, man. That's how I'm now. What should I get, Dr. Mom? A meatball? Meatball? Mango peach salsa is good. Good. You know what? Let's get the croque madame. That sounds really good. Thank you. Check and see if Hada wants some fada. Is that a shark tooth on your necklace, their pendant there? Or actually looks like a saber tooth. Is that a saber tooth? Or is it a cornu? Maybe you're one of them Italian stud types. I'm sorry, abstruse. But good for you. Good on you. It's a saber-toothed tiger necklace? No. Really?
I used to be, I'm Pebbles from the
Bam Bam?
Flintstones,
Yeah.
all grown up.
I'll be Bam Bam.
She didn't have a necklace like this. She just had rocks. Right?
She had didn't she have a saber-toothed tiger hair barrette or something?
Bonehead.
Yeah, bonehead.
Well, for my 16th birthday, Betty and Fred gave me this.
And you still have that. The Rubbles. I love the Rubbles. You know, if you think about it, that show was an exact
Betty
copy
and
of I
Barney.
Love Lucy. Right?
Honeymooners.
Because it was Fred or Honeymooners. Well,
but
maybe
Fred
more. You're
didn't
right.
Spousal abuse, Wilma.
Did Ed Norton hurt Mrs. Norton?
He always said he was going to send her to the moon.
No. That was Ralph Cramden.
Wait. Oh God, I'm getting all these.
But I think you're right. I think actually, in a way, I Love Lucy was a copy of the Honeymooners, and the Flintstones was probably more a copy of the Honeymooners than of I Love Lucy.
Yeah.
That's mine. I tried to give it to Kevin. I thought he wanted it, but he didn't take it. So.
Lucy was a modernized Honeymooners.
Right.
It was so much
Ricky
more advanced.
didn't ever threaten to hit Lucy, but you could tell in his brain he was thinking that.
His voice.
Yeah. Lucy,
And then she'd cry.
you got some splaining to do.
And then they'd go to commercials. That's when he throttled her.
Yeah. God. This is in our brains. Like this is our role model for relationships in our brains. Because we all grow up glued to the boob tube. My parents, when I was a kid, said I could watch half an hour of TV a night. So I watched Batman. But I made up for it. And later in life, I watched TV like a demon. It's good. Consume more media. Please. Enjoy it. We'll make more. Hey, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Good to see you on this Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. To all the moms. This is when we talk about computers and the internet and home theater and digital photography, smartphones, smartwatches. I'm wearing two. Oh, man. This is really, I think I guess at some point you lose, your pride. And it's all downhill from there, right? You don't really care anymore. And I think this is the sign when you start wearing two watches. And yesterday I rode a Segway home wearing two watches. That's it. I might as well get a beer hat and a Kiss Me I'm Irish T-shirt because it's over. I've lost all self-respect. The reason I'm wearing 2 watches is because I'm trying to understand the smartwatch thing. Now, I've been wearing a smartwatch for almost 2 years now. I started with the Pebble when it came out. Remember the Pebble? The Kickstarter Pebble? And then Samsung had a bunch of smartwatches. All of them were a little, frustrating. Then Android Wear wore a Moto 360 for quite a while. So now I'm wearing the Apple Watch on my left wrist. This is week 3 of my wrist held hostage. And then on the right wrist, I'm wearing one of the newer Android Wear watches. This is from LG. They call it Watch Urbane, which is not a good name. And frankly, it's I thought it was kind of cool looking in the pictures. It looks really nice. But now I show it to people, and they go, that looks like you bought that at a flea market. So now I feel kind of bad. I like it, though. I like the functionality. But I guess my take on smartwatches, thank you for asking, is that they're really not particularly useful. If you're the kind of person that, A, wears a watch to begin with, okay, that's the prerequisite. If you don't wear a watch, you're not going to like a smartwatch. It's something on your wrist. It's uncomfortable. All of them, even the Apple Watch, are somewhat uncomfortable. So first of all, you got to be somebody who looks at his wrist or her wrist to see what time it is. And all of the smartwatches do that fairly well. Most of them, to save battery, don't do it until you turn your wrist towards yourself. That's how the Apple Watch works. When you're not looking at it, it's dark. It's just a dark piece of glass on your wrist. And then you turn it to look, it turns on. Android Pebble is on all the time and lasts a week. Most of these other watches only last a day, and they're trying to conserve battery. Android Wear is nice because it has an ambient display that is a simpler, somewhat darker display, but you can always see what time it is, even when the display is in its low power mode. That's nice. But it's really, if you have an iPhone, you like to wear watches, you want to have something monitor, if you're wearing maybe a Fitbit or a Jawbone or one of the health bands, these do pretty much the same thing as the health bands. They also give you notifications from your phone, which is nice. We ordered a pizza last night, and the people who deliver the pizza have this nice feature. They'll text you every step of the way. They send you a text saying, okay, the order's in. Okay, the driver's waiting for the pizza now. Okay, the driver has left the restaurant. Okay, the driver's pulling up. That's handy because then you go to the door, right? And my phone was giving me the text, but for some reason the Apple Watch wasn't. I kept looking at the Apple Watch saying, is he here yet? Is he here yet? But in theory, that would be nice. You could just look at your watch and it would not only tell you what time it is, but it would tell you, I have the weather, my calendar, fitness. Then I ate a pizza. The fitness went to hell, but that's okay. That's okay because I don't have any self-respect. I don't care anymore. I'm the kind of person who wears 2 watches and rides a Segway. I have to say, my general take on these is it's very hard to use a smartwatch because it's so small. Apple's tried to solve this, but really they've made a fairly complicated device. It's got 2 buttons. One button just goes in and out. Another one goes in and out and it has a little scroll wheel on it as well. It's got force touch. There's all different things you can do, and it's complicated. And I think that this problem is really that you can be too small for a computing device and just make it hard to use. Combine that with kind of limited utility, and it just isn't a super desirable product. If you like to wear a watch, the idea of having notifications or health monitoring appeals to you. The Apple Watch you can pay with. But, in most cases, the kind of stuff that you would do with a watch is done faster and easier just by whipping your phone out. People often say, oh, but the watch, you never have to take out your phone. Yeah, but you have to suffer trying to figure out how to do something on the watch. With little tiny print, you tap the little thing, and it's difficult, to say the least. And these all are big, right? They have to be bigger. This Urbane is gigantic. I think it's 52 millimeters. It's huge. And it's still too small to really do anything much. So I think if you're thinking about a watch, go in. Apple certainly encourages you to go to the Apple Store and try it. Take a look at it. But I would, if you've not worn a smartwatch, I wouldn't spend a lot of money on one until you've worn one for a while and really see if this is for you. My guess is this is not, the Apple Watch or any smartwatch is not going to be a widespread phenomenon. I don't think all of a sudden you're going to see all these people wearing smartwatches. I think it's a little bit of a specialty product. Maybe 1 in 5 or 1 in 10 even will use it, and the rest will be perfectly happy to take the phone out of the pocket and use it. It works fine. And I guess mostly I'm saying this so that people don't feel bad if you don't have a smartwatch. I should have a smartwatch. No, you don't. You don't need a smartwatch. Nobody feels bad, do they? They probably feel superior. Yeah, look at that dork. He's got 2 watches, and he's riding a scooter. John in Biddeford, Maine. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, John.
Hi. I never thought I'd be on back-to-back with another caller from Maine. I'm only about 20 miles south of Mike from Portland.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
We're taking over the Northeast.
Yeah, well, Heather encouraged me to get right to the point, so I'll try to get.
Oh, don't take your time. I don't. Heather's in more of a hurry than I am.
Yeah, but I think this is important just because along the way I might alert some other people to a similar situation.
Good, yes.
I'm currently getting my internet from the local phone company, Fairpoint.
Okay.
And I'd like to continue using this combination modem router thing that they issued me. It's made by Comtrend. It actually performs better, I think, than a basic router.
Good.
With my Comtrend basic router plus Linksys router. That's about 10 years old. Anyway, performance is better, but there's just one thing. The password to get into the administrative part of the router, the 192.168.1, it's ridiculously easy, and you can't change it.
And you can't change it?
Yeah, so my question is, would LastPass help me in this situation if I want to continue using the router?
Not if you can't change the password. LastPass is only good if you provide your own long random password.
Yeah.
So is this router that you're using from the ISP, is it a wireless router or is it wired only?
It's a wireless router.
Okay.
It's a Comtrend.
So that's the risk. See, if it were wired only, you could say one thing you want to turn off in the interface is WLAN administration. You don't want any administration from the outside world, because then they just log it in. But as long as you can't come in from the outside, then your only risk is Wi-Fi, because somebody sitting on your curb, if they knew you had that particular router, could log into it.
Right.
Now, they can't do much by logging into it. They could just change the settings.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's interesting that they actually these routers come with a very complicated default password to log in.
And you should be able to change it. You don't want a default password under any circumstances, however complicated, because chances are it's leaked out. So this is not a very good solution, and I think that you do want to kind of call the company and say, dudes, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, LastPass will remember it. That doesn't matter. if either the password is, if it's a standard, if you can't, it doesn't matter long or short. If it's a standard password, almost certainly anybody who has that device will know it. It will have certainly leaked out. It'll be on the internet. You can search for standard passwords, administrator passwords for all the routers. So the strong advice we always give is change the router administrator password immediately to something you and only you know. Your other choice, and it might be worth looking at, Eric. Oh, no, that's not Eric. Oh, he hung up. The other choice that you have, and I think it's a good choice, is to use a third party, buy your own. But you have to call the company and say, can I use, most cases cable companies let you do this. Can I use my own modem, cable modem? DSL sometimes will let you do that too. Can I use my own DSL modem? It's not the router, it's the modem. If you can use your own modem, in most cases you'll get a better modem, and you'll certainly get one that you can set the password on, and then attach to that the router. And of course you're going to do the same thing with any Wi-Fi router, which is the basic security for all Wi-Fi routers. I should say this when I come back. I will. I'll save it for when I come back. Yeah. Yeah, then that's fine, Marchandra. If they have, every box has a unique password. Most of the time that's what happens. And then they put a sticker on the back. That's fine. What you don't want is a password that's the same on all devices. That's a really bad idea. Well, that's not really true. They do want you to touch the screen, iLover. I mean, they give you a number of things you can do on the screen. If they didn't want you to touch the screen, they should just make it. I mean, why wouldn't they want you to touch the screen? So there's a lot of things that actually are great. For instance, unlike on the iPhone, if you have notifications, I don't, so unfortunately I can't show you this, you can clear them all by force touching a notification. So by force touching, which I don't have any, but force touching there, which means pressing harder, will give you a dismiss all, and you can clear all notifications. That's something the iPhone has never had, and it's a huge oversight on the iPhone. It's one of the many reasons I don't like the iPhone. You have to touch the screen if you want to use this interface, as bad as this interface is. I guess you don't, because you could. No, you do, because you have to center the icon that you want. This is a horrific interface. And this points up why it's too small. These are all the apps that have. These are apps that are on my iPhone that have a watch interface. And like here's the stock apps. So isn't that wonderful? And you're right that in many cases it's better to scroll with a scroll wheel than it is to touch, because touching, of course, gets in the way. But I don't think it's fair to say Apple doesn't want you to touch it. In some cases you have to. And Hey Siri doesn't always work. Let's see if it does here. Hey Siri, open Uber. It did in this case. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. If you have a Wi-Fi router, I should go through this for our last caller and any caller who's using a wireless access point. There are a few things you should do to secure it. A lot of times people do some things that don't help. These are the things that everyone should do. And step one is change the password. That's why if you get a router from a company, your internet service provider, that has a fixed and unchangeable password, that ain't great. Now, if it's a different password for every device, that's okay. But it's really risky if it's the same password for every device, because that means everybody knows it. So first thing I always do on any wireless router is I change the SSID. That's what you see when you're looking for it, the name. Mostly because things like Apple 2F04 or Linksys aren't really good names. You should change it to something I have a naming scheme. I use Dead Rock Stars, but you could use Constellations or whatever. So I've had routers named Hendrix and Wine. I know it's morbid. I apologize. And Winehouse and but I know whose that is, because that's my naming scheme. But it doesn't have my name and address in it. And I don't know if this is a real risk, but it's probably not a good idea for you to say, hey, this router is at 123 Main Street. Put a name that you recognize but is not particularly identifiable. FBI surveillance fan is always a good one. And then change the password. So you change the name of the router and change the password to administer it. You should also turn off the ability to administer the router from outside your network. Sometimes they call it WLAN administration or, I don't know, outside administration. You'll have to look. Every router has a different name for that. But you want to disable that. Very rare that you'd actually want to or need to administer your router if you're not home. And by having that turned on, I mean somebody else can at least try to get into your router. You don't want to let them do that. So turn off WLAN administration. And finally, turn on encryption. And the encryption you want to use, if it's available, is WPA encryption. WPA2 is good. That's fine. That's better, a little bit better. And the password doesn't have to be super good or super difficult, but you should have a password on it because that encrypts all your traffic as it flies through the air. That's a good thing, and it keeps somebody else from using your router, if they're nearby, your neighbor or somebody sitting on the street. That's all you need to do. But you should do all of it. Change the name and password, turn off WLAN administration, turn on encryption, WPA if possible. That's the best. WPA2 is the best. There's one more thing you might want to do. I do, and there's side effects that you may not like, which is turn off universal plug and play. This is something Microsoft invented for the Xbox. I think it was for the Xbox. That allows a device inside your network to configure the router silently and without your permission. In the case of the Xbox, they wanted to make it possible for the Xbox to port forward your router so that you could have start a game and others could join your game. In order to do that, they had to kind of punch a hole in the firewall of your router, and that's using UPnP. But it has now if you turn it off, maybe your Xbox is going to complain. And it might limit your ability to do some things like receive incoming connections. On the other hand, having it on means that any application on your computer or any computer in the network can change the router configuration without your knowledge. That's not a good thing. We don't want that because a bad guy gets something bad on your system and then opens up your router and says, "Come on in, guys. The water's fine." So if I turn it off, I recommend you turn it off. It's not on all routers. Apple routers do not have UPnP. They use a different technology. But if you do have it on there, I like to turn it off. That's a fourth optional way to protect your router. Eric in Ann Arbor, Michigan. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, Leo.
Hey.
Long-time listener, first-time caller.
Thanks for calling.
Yeah. So I have a question about a smartphone.
Yeah.
So my girlfriend, she has an old smartphone that's, getting hard to use. It's like, getting real slow.
Time to get a new one, huh?
Yeah. But she has the one like where, the keyboard pops out and she likes the physical keyboard.
Oh, we gotta wean her off of that.
Right. So I think I almost have her talked into, accepting the fact that they're not making those type of phones anymore.
Well, they are, but they're very few and far between, and that's a kind of it would be nice to not have to do that.
Right. Yeah. But it's it's only it's 4 inches in size, so she likes the smaller type of cell phones.
Yeah.
But when I try to search for them, there's nothing. The small type of cell phones, they're not. Really comparable to the new ones, the bigger ones, the HTC.
Yeah, all the flagship phones. I guess all the companies have decided everybody wants a big phone. Samsung makes smaller versions of their Galaxy phones. So you like the Alpha is 4.7 inches. My opinion, and of course my hands are bigger probably than your girlfriend's. God, I hope so. Is that 4.7 inches is the sweet spot. But she has a 4-inch phone. But, of course, there's a trade-off. The smaller the screen, the harder it is to type. That's one of the things she's having problems with. Also, the smaller the text is and so forth. 4.7 inches is still, even for a smaller hand, still small enough, I think, to hold in one hand and use in one hand. But it gives you a big enough screen so the typing is easier and so forth. You could go, by the way, and get an older iPhone. They still sell the smaller iPhones, and they sell them cheaply. I don't know if they're still doing the 4S. They are doing the 5. And she might like those. They're thin. They're narrow. They're a little taller, but they're narrow. And she might like that. And the iPhone, of course, if it's your first smartphone, is a good choice because everybody uses them. And there's lots of apps and that kind of thing. As you get more sophisticated, in my opinion, you want a little bit more. And that's one of the reasons I like Android. But iPhone might not be a bad choice. A Moto X is also 4.7. The older Moto X is 4.7 inches. It's a nice size. And the Samsung Galaxy Alpha is 4.7 inches. The best thing, I would take her to the phone store and have her hold them. She needs to hold them and see. And I know it's going to be hard getting used to typing on the screen.
Yeah.
If she really can't deal with it, you might want to look at the new BlackBerry Classic, which has a nice BlackBerry keyboard on it. It's a square 3.5-inch screen. But not a bad idea to look at the BlackBerry Classic. That's one smartphone that still has an excellent physical keyboard. And yeah, your carrier will have that probably to show off as well.
All right, Leo.
All right. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it. I hope you find a good phone for your girlfriend. I'm sure you will. It's there are still small phones out there. The 4S, I guess, is still being sold by Apple. All right. It's kind of out of date, but on the other hand, it's small. That's 3.5 or 4 inches. 4 inches, maybe. So it's like her old phone. And that's a pretty nice phone. And you can get it, I think, for free or almost nothing. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, I have a hard time recommending that Typo keyboard, the Seacrest keyboard. I think even Steve Gibson doesn't still use that. But that is a thing, and I think you need a 5 for it, or a 5S? Worst name for a keyboard ever, right? Typo, the Typo keyboard. It's a terrible name. So iPhone 5 or 5S, you slide it on. They do have an iPhone 6 version as well. $79. BlackBerry sued them because it's very similar to the domed keys on the BlackBerry. So if she really, you could think of that as training wheels. Get her an iPhone 5 or 5S. And then get the Typo keyboard. And it'd be like training wheels. And because I think eventually she'd just tear that thing off and use this screen. Oh, the Z3 Mini, you're right. I didn't even think of that one. Well, for some reason, I just don't think of Sony phones very often. I'll mention that, though. That's a good one. We'll put that in the show notes, too. That's a compact phone. They call it the mini-me phone. HTC makes a Mini, too, doesn't it? The HTC One Mini. So there's a few choices in the mini space. This is the Xperia Z3, the Galaxy S5 Mini, and the HTC One Mini. They're mini. They're mini-me. They're not that small. They're 4.5 to 4.6 inches. So, they might be just right for your girlfriend. And I think the HTC One Mini is a good choice. It's really the same thing as an HTC One, which is an excellent phone, but for smaller hands. I think that's probably a good choice. I haven't tried the Z3 Compact. In this review from Recombu, they liked the Z3. 20 megapixel camera. It's a lot. And good battery life. That's maybe a little too much. I think 13 to 16 is kind of the best. Loquacious, what Android phone do you have that you can't clear all? Every Android phone I've ever used. I'll show you where it is. Maybe you just don't know. So in the notifications, it depends on the phone, but in Lollipop, there's this little weird stagger step thing. You press that, it clears all. Sometimes there's a button up here. It kind of depends on the phone. But I've never used an Android phone that you couldn't clear all notifications. That's not. Steve Gibson, you still use it? All right. Steve says he still uses the Typo keyboard. Thank you, Steve. I never asked you again. Steve, you want to be on Twit this afternoon? It's Jolie Odell and John C. Dvorak. It'd be nice to have a sane voice in there. Talk about the NSA collection. Sharp does a nice one. Yeah, the crystal. I played with the crystal. Mama, don't take my Kodachrome, leave my body on all alone. Yes, that song means it must be time for our photographic guru, Chris Marquardt, the photo guy from DiscoverTheTopFloor.com. Hi, Chris. How are you today?
I am doing wonderful. I'm preparing for a bit of an absence, so take me in as long as you can, because I'll be gone for 4 weeks.
4 weeks? Where are you going?
Yes. I'm going to India, I'm going to Bhutan, and I will go to Nepal.
Wow.
So,
you're going to taste tea?
We're actually going to do a photo tour, a tea-themed photo tour to Darjeeling.
Wow.
The end of the first flush, beginning of the second flush harvest. Then we had originally planned to go to Nepal, but we skipped that for well-known reasons. So we changed that into a Bhutan week. And then at the end of that, I will spend a day in Kathmandu and meet some friends and deliver some rechargeable batteries and things that they can use.
Oh, that's great. I'm glad you're doing that. And you're still doing the fundraiser for Nepal.
It's still going on. We just crossed $13,000.
What?
Yes.
Chris, that's fantastic.
I just have to thank the community. Everyone who chipped in this is an amazing crowd.
13 grand? Wow.
Yes.
100% goes to help the people of Nepal after that devastating earthquake of a few weeks ago. If you want to take a look, it's an ebook called People of the Himalayas. Beautiful images. Chris has taken many trips to the Himalayas over the last few years. TFTTF.com/fundraiser. And we'll put a link in our show notes.
We will most likely release it as a printed version as well, but that's not going to happen until the mid of the year.
Yeah.
So
really, you're getting these great images, but what you're doing is you're helping the people of Nepal with a donation.
That's what it's all about. I mean, it's the reason we did this was to give the Nepal people a face, to make sure people don't just see broken buildings and rubble, but they see the actual people behind that.
Beautiful, beautiful people, and the images you've taken of them are just spectacular. So. Please, folks, TFTTF.com/fundraiser. What do you want to talk about? You're going to be gone for a month.
We have an assignment review, so
I think we better review the assignment.
I'll give a new assignment today, so everyone has those 4 weeks and can work on their assignment.
So we do these for fun because we want you to take pictures, basically. And the way it works is Chris will give you a word or an idea or a concept. You'll illustrate that, upload your best images to our Flickr group, the Tech Guy group on Flickr. And then we'll pick a few to review. And you've picked 3. What was the subject?
The subject was anniversary.
Anniversary, that's right.
Anniversary. So let's look at the first one. Uploaded by Keila Perez 38. Doesn't have a title. Okay. We
don't like that. Give it a title. Chris doesn't like that.
Give it a title.
Yeah.
And that's one of those pictures that I think works with a centered subject. You know, usually I say take it a bit off center. It's at a beach. I like the way it's split, not exactly in the middle, but slightly above the middle. And it's a very clear picture. I mean, the subject is the couple. They are standing on a beach and nothing else is pretty much going on there. The only thing I would have changed, I would have probably straightened the horizon a bit because,
it's a little whopper-jawed, yeah.
You know, especially when there's water surfaces involved.
You don't want it flowing.
You will actually, everyone will kind of even subconsciously notice half a degree out of whack. So this is something, but that's easy to fix. Most software can simply do this. You can do this in an iPhone. Actually, it will do it automatically for you. If you go to the crops setting, it will detect the horizon and will straighten it for you. Yes.
And I would guess this looks like maybe it was shot in a phone with a filter because it's got a little vignetting and it looks like it's a little cross-processing. So it looks like maybe one of them filters you get in your phone.
But it suits the picture quite well.
It's sweet. It's a sweet picture.
And I like harsh contrast pictures. And that's sunlight, direct sunlight, which is always a bit harsh in contrast. But it works. It works for this.
Nice. Thank you very much. Kayla Perez, 38.
Yes. The second one is by James Aralus. And it's a guy jumping up with a basketball lit with a flash from off camera.
I don't know what the anniversary part of this is, but it's
the anniversary is, and he writes it in the text in the copy to it. He writes his fourth anniversary of buying his first real camera. And he now has a severe gas, which stands for gear acquisition syndrome, as we know. But luckily, he has colleagues who volunteer to be his subjects. So this is fun if you have friends who kind of play with you and who you can use as models for these kind of experiments. And it looks like he loves experimenting.
This is a guy jumping in the air, shooting a basket. And he caught him in mid-flight, which is hard to do, but it often is a great image. We've done this before with you, didn't we have a jump assignment at one point?
Oh, yes, we did that. Didn't turn out that well.
No, this one's great, though. Boy, I love this.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I like it. 4th anniversary of the first real camera. Whatever real camera means. I mean, it could mean anything. Okay, and the last one is by Pixel Pusher called Sunshine at Night. And first, it looks quite abstract. It's bluish streaks. Looks like a bit of a sun ray thing going on there. And then you realize it's probably one of those little, these little driveway LED lights that have a little solar panel on top. And he writes that it is actually one of those solar-powered sidewalk lights from the 99-cent store. And this one is having its first anniversary, which is quite unusual because normally they're built to last between a month and 1 day. So I think what he did is, well, he actually managed to, there's so little light coming out of this that he had to go ISO 12,800 to get this picture.
Wow.
But it turned into this nice abstract kind of thing. I think he held a piece of paper next to it to get the streaks, and I just like the abstract nature of it and the bit of guesswork that you have to put into it, and the monochrome nature of it being all bluish kind of adds to the nocturnal kind of mood. So I really like this. I could see this somewhere on a wall. Yeah,
I don't mind abstraction. In fact, I don't really even want to know how he made it. It's just it's a nice image. It's kind of monochromatic. It's very blue, but it feels good. And you can kind of say, well, that looks like the Statue of Liberty, or I don't know. You can think
whatever.
But
you can see there are patterns in it, and you start matching it to things that you know, and then other people will match it to other things that they know. Right. That's what happens when you look at an abstract picture. Everyone will find their own meaning in an abstract picture.
I like it. And ISO, tell me what that means. He set it to ISO 12.
ISO is the sensitivity of the sensor. What you used to have that in film. You could have more sensitive film for nighttime shooting, and the same is with digital cameras. You can crank it up, and the higher you crank it up, the less light the camera needs to take a picture. So you can shoot in lower light. You can shoot without a flash, which I generally try to avoid indoors anyway, because if you use the flash on the camera, it'll usually not make a nice light on the subject. So use the light sources that are there, raise the ISO a bit, and then you can see a bit of grain in that picture. There's a bit of, looks a bit like salt and pepper, black and white spots and things.
I don't mind that though.
But no, totally, I totally do not mind that, because it also gives you kind of a subconscious hint that that's a picture that was taken at low light, and we're kind of trained to recognize it subconsciously. So higher ISO is sometimes a good thing, and I don't worry about the noise too much.
Speaking of hints, one of the things I love about Flickr is if you take it with a camera, not your camera phone, you'll get information embedded in the picture. Maybe you don't even know this. It's called the EXIF, or the EXIF information. And among other things, besides saying what kind of camera shot the picture, it'll say what the lens was, what the settings were, and that's how Chris knows what the ISO setting was. And if you're learning photography, if you see an image you like, it's always interesting, and obviously Chris did this, to look at that EXIF information to find out. For instance, this was a long lens. I mean, he shot this with a 200mm lens.
That's a telephoto lens, yeah.
So it's interesting to know kind of the technique, and will help you with your own technique. Hey, Chris, thank you. Hang on the line. We're going to take a break, but when we come back, I want to tell you to tell us what our next assignment is. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You excited about your trip?
Very, and in the middle of preps. Oh, by the way, Flickr also just introduced a whole bunch of new features.
I noticed they have a new layout.
They do automatic tagging now. If you go to your Flickr stream, they now have a camera roll, and in the camera roll, they have what they call the magic view. And if you go in there, you will see your pictures sorted by animals, architecture. Look in the top of the screen, the magic view, the second tab. There's in the middle of the screen. There's these tabs. Nope. Right.
Magic view. I see. Yeah.
Magic view.
So that's going to be auto tagging.
Look at that.
Animal, bird. There's a chicken.
It will recognize birds, cats, dogs, architecture, bridges. Isn't that amazing?
Oh my goodness! Wow, it did this all automatically.
It blew my mind.
Very cool. You can see I like taking pictures of buildings more than almost anything else. Wow.
And you can now also download all your pictures. If you click the select all thing above one of these blocks, then you will see at the bottom you will get a little thing, a little slider coming up that will then allow you to download your originals from Flickr.
That's nice. That makes it very desirable. Recently my Flickr Pro expired, and I thought, well, they're giving me a terabyte without Pro, so I'm experimenting and not paying for Flickr. And I do get ads, but I think it's fine, right? Yeah. I've had Pro for so many years.
Look how good it is in recognizing things. I mean, some are dead wrong, but most of them are really, really good.
It's pretty much right. Food, vegetable, food, meal, food, other, landscape, field, landscape, forest, landscape, mountain. Wow. He thinks a pyramid is a rock, but I guess that's true. Seashore. Wow.
There must be some serious smarts behind that.
Yeah, this is kind of the work I'd expect Google to do, and they haven't actually. But good for Flickr. Finally, Yahoo's putting some money into Flickr. Wow, that's great. It thinks that's a kid, a landscape child. Yeah, no, that's not a kid. That's a bobble.
I'm not sure. I don't think you can tell it that that's wrong. So
yeah,
I'm not sure
you know what?
it
This
learns.
is so good.
Oh, that is 95% spot on.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah. Wow. That's great.
Then it sees the black and white ones, so different styles.
Yeah,
I get light and curves and depth of field style where more bokeh pictures are in, and minimalism.
That is great. I wish it. Now, I can't get all pictures of my son, right? I mean, it's look at flowers. It knows all the flowers.
It doesn't do face recognition, and honestly, I think face recognition is a bit creepy. So I don't really mind it.
They could do it, I'm sure, but I bet you that's exactly why they don't do it.
Yeah,
hey,
I think they want to keep the creep factor up.
Great. All the black and whites. That's pretty easy, right? All the brights, all the curves, depth of field. Wow. Man, that's a lot of horsepower they put into that thing.
I'm pretty sure they had their engines running for a month or longer just to pre-tag all the pictures.
All the signs.
You have now automatic tags on your pictures as well, so they are tagging your pictures for you.
Nice. Wow.
At least with some defaults that are then probably used here. So it's really...
This is great.
Really interesting.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I would say it's like 99%.
I'm blown away.
Wow.
And then the overall search is really good as well. So if you enter a search term, you can now sort the results by color.
Neat. Wow. All right, hold on a sec. We're going to come back, and I'm going to give you a chance to give us a new assignment here. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Wow, Chris and I were just going through the new Flickr. They've not only changed the look, but they've added some really interesting auto tagging features that go through all your pictures and assigns them to categories like animals, people, architecture. Really did a good job. That's neat, Chris. Hey, before you go,
amazing.
And I know you're about to go out the door to Tibet and Bhutan, but before you go, give us a new assignment. These assignments are kind of fun. He's going to give us a word or an idea. You're going to take pictures. You're going to upload them to the Flickr group, the Tech Guy group, and in a month when he comes back, we'll do a review. What do you want us to take pictures of this month?
Well, I usually look for words that have multiple meanings, and I think I found one that's also kind of along the lines of what we're doing with the fundraiser. The word is relief.
Relief.
Relief can be so many different things, but and I will be back here on June the 14th, Sunday, June the 14th. So that's when we are going to review that assignment.
Good. Everybody, you've got a month to take pictures that illustrate relief. Chris, have a great trip.
Thank you.
If you want to know more about Chris, discoverthetopfloor.com. All right, back to the phones. Jack, Streamwood, Illinois. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Jack.
Hi, Leo. So, like, as you said, I was looking for the best graphics card for an $800 gaming PC build, and I was just wondering if you could help me with that.
I love it that you're building your own. Why are you building your own? Because you wanted to learn about how computers work and all that?
Yeah, and, you know, like, my laptop is okay right now, so I just wanted to get a good thing, and me and my dad are doing it together.
Perfect project. Yeah, I love that. And I should point out that this is something we all used to do a lot, build your own computer, but nowadays you're almost always going to get a better deal if you go to somebody who makes computers like Dell or Lenovo or whoever. But that's not the point. The point is to specify exactly what you want, to put it all together, to get a sense of how it works. The downside to building your own, of course, is there's no one person to go to if something doesn't work, because you got the motherboard from somebody, you got the sound card from somebody, you got the case from somebody else, the monitor from somebody else. And if the computer's not working exactly right, who are you going to call? You. But that's all right. You and your dad want to figure it out. I think it's great. This is the site you need to know about for the whole thing. PC Perspective is the name of it, and their website is pcper.com. My friend Ryan Shrout runs it. And if you go to the Hardware Leaderboard tab on the site, I love it that they do this. PC Perspective, Ryan and his team review everything. Everything. Motherboards, graphics cards, everything. But the Hardware Leaderboard is a single page they put together that describes, using the latest stuff, the stuff that's out right now, how to build the ideal system. And they have 4 different levels: the low-end system, the mid-range system, the high-end system, and the dream system. You said $800. That's their mid-range system. Yeah. And they describe all the pieces for an $885 computer, an i5 Intel Core processor, a Haswell, a Gigabyte motherboard. They like, for the video card, AMD's new Virtual Super Resolution Double D R9 285. It's an XFX card. Oh, and that's about a $200 video card, but they like that a lot. Now, you can read more about their various other cards and so forth. The key on this, and one of the things Ryan does well, is you kind of want to make sure you get a card that's right for the motherboard and right for its use, because you can get a card, for instance, that's too fast, or you're wasting speed because the processor isn't fast enough, that kind of thing. You want to match the pieces together, and Ryan's a master of that. He also recommends the new Samsung 850 EVOS SSD. That is a great solid-state drive. Brand new, very, very fast. And, the prices have dropped so dramatically on these solid-state drives. So he has some good recommendations for video cards, for the case, for everything. But I think this AMD, remember AMD is ATI. They bought the ATI graphics card company. There's really two, for graphics cards, for gaming especially, there are really 2 companies. There's NVIDIA and AMD. And NVIDIAs are made by a lot of different people. And AMD makes the ATI graphics cards. And they seem to like this one, the XFX Double D R9 285. But you know what you should do? It'd be worthwhile. You and your dad should go to pcper.com and take a look at the whole mid-range system. If you say, oh, I think I want a better graphics card, you could move up a step. Don't move too far, though, again, because with an i5, for instance, your graphics card could be faster than you need. You don't want to overspend. Louis or Lewis in Peterborough, Ontario. Hey, is it Lewis or Louis? What do you like?
Hey, it's Lewis.
Hey, Lewis, how you doing?
Pretty good. I got an old eMac, the ones that they gave to schools, and I'm trying to think of a use for it.
Yeah, good luck. Oh, those are bad machines. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that.
I was thinking about running basically a dummy development web server on it, because I've been learning how to use Ruby, Ajax.
Yeah, I think so. Probably what you want to do. I think those eMacs, were they PowerPC chips? They weren't Intel, were they?
They were GeForce.
Yeah, yikes. That's going to be the biggest issue, because shortly after this, Apple went, of course, to the Intel platform, and all the modern Apple stuff is for Intel. You're going to be putting.
I was wondering if you recommended what Linux distro, because I use Ubuntu as my main distro.
So, yeah, you want one that's compatible, obviously, with the G4. I'm sure Ubuntu makes a version, but you also, Ubuntu might be heavyweight for something that slow, right?
I was thinking the terminal server edition, the command line one.
Yeah, see, that's a good way to go. The nice thing about Linux is a free open source operating system. It's comparable to Windows or OS X, but it's free. And because it's open, it means there's a lot of different versions. We call the versions distributions or distros. And there's a lot of different ones for different needs. For instance, there are some specifically for the G4 chip that's in that eMac. And one of the nice things about Linux is it has the capability of having a graphical user interface, just like Windows and OS X with menus and windows and all of that. But you can run it command line, which is, of course, going to be much faster. And for what you just described, you want to run a server, you want to do development, command line's fine. So I would suggest that.
It's going to just be an internal one, like not connected to the outside world. It'll just basically live in the closet.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea. You put it on the network, and you can, open Emacs or Vim, and you can program. You can put a server on there. You can put an email server on there. And the truth is, even though this is a, ancient machine, it's more than 10 years old, it's fine for a lot of that stuff. The big demand on a modern computer is the graphic user interface. If you turn that off, or you don't install it, or you don't use it, I think you're going to be fine. Almost any Linux that's appropriate for that processor will be just fine as a command line version. So I don't know what there is. Mint, not Lint. Linux Mint has a PowerPC version, but quite a few. Where I would go is a site called DistroWatch. I think it's distrowatch.org, where they list all the Linux distributions, and you can pick the features you want that are appropriate for the hardware you have. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. What? Smartphone, no travel expenses. Dan, why didn't he tell me? Your team can join by clicking a link. That is awesome. So Dan Luters, who does all our music, did the new Screensavers music, is a great musician. That was his son, Jack.
Oh, little Jack.
That is so cool. Of course, Dad's a geek, so that's perfect. Oh, that's so great. Thank you, Dan. I wish I'd known. My dad, Dan, says I should call you. Dan, it's nice to see you. And by the way, we love our Screensavers theme. Thanks for doing such a new Screensavers theme. Thank you for doing such a great job on that. Just love it. Yeah, Jack was... How old is Jack, Dan? Oh, that's so great. Gosh, I wish my kids were interested in computing. When Henry and Abby were 11, they would not. That's not something. I was doing this. I was doing the old Screensavers. Which lens did I buy? It's a Summicron APO 50. That. Lovely, lovely, lovely lens.
Lewis in Peterborough wanted to ask you for an autographed photograph.
Okay.
Do we do that?
Yes, we do. Just get his address and I'll send it to him.
Give it to Debbie or put it on Debbie's desk. And yeah, of course we do. No, it's not $12,000. I kind of bought it by mistake. You can get it for $7,260. I was told, I was misinformed. I was told it took a year. I read this incredible review. Steve Huff Photos, my guru. And he said, yeah, it's expensive, but it is possibly the best lens on the market today. Because basically, Leica spares no expense. I mean, they said, well, if we were going to make the best lens ever, what would we do? Cost not to be considered. He said, I wouldn't be surprised. He says, Leica reportedly loses money on the lens. So I read this, and I use a Sony A7S. I use this body with it, which I love. And so I was so impressed. And he said, oh, it takes a year to get, 9 months to a year to get. So I thought, he says, at the cost of this lens and how long it takes to get a hold of one, 9 to 24 months wait after ordering. So I thought, well, gosh, it's too expensive. I'm probably not going to get it, but I should order it so that and then I can decide. So I ordered it on B&H. And as expected, they sent me a note saying, well, this is back ordered, but we'll let you know when it comes in. The next email I get from B&H is, it's on its way. I went, what? What? Hey, Rick Yeager, good to see you. Nice to see you, Night Train. That was fun in Austin. So, I mean, the good news on these is they're so hotly desired by collectors and others that you can sell it back for at least what you paid for it, maybe more. So, I could have said, no, I don't want it. I sent it right back, but I thought, what the hell. I do love it. I love shooting with it. It's my last lens, so there you go. I'm never getting another lens. Well, hey, how are you today? Leo Laporte here, the tech guy. Time to talk computers, the internet, smartphones, home theater, digital watches. Well, smart watches. I should say smart, because I don't really want to talk about, a 1978 Seiko, but we'll talk about the Apple Watch or Android Wear. 8888 Ask Leo. That's the number. 888-827-5536. Toll free from anywhere in the U.S. or Canada. Outside that area, Skype in. We have listeners all over the world thanks to the magic of the internets. You can Skype us. 888-827-5536. If you hear something on the show and you say, well, I need the link, like this photos we were reviewing earlier or websites or products I mentioned, don't worry. You don't have to write anything down. I know a lot of you are driving. I don't want you to write anything down or try to memorize it. Just remember this one thing, techguylabs.com. That's the website, techguylabs.com. And that's where we put everything that's on the show. James DeRujo is writing it right now, writing it down, putting it on the show. And then Josh Windish in our office adds audio from the show, after the fact video as well, so you can watch it or listen if you missed it. And then every show is on there, every hour by hour, every call by call. And you can add your comments too. And I want you to do that, please, because that makes it a richer site, more valuable. There's no cost, no sign up. It's just there. TechGuyLabs.com. Julian in Los Angeles is next. Hi, Julian. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hey, how are you doing today?
I'm here, and I'm feeling good. How you doing?
I've been pretty good. I've been having a pretty bad reception, but I think I got it under control now. So
bad reception?
Yeah.
You're listening on the radio.
Anyway.
Do you have to get on the roof and point it?
Yeah, I should be on the roof right now.
My dad and I used to love old time radio. We couldn't get the station in the house, so we'd go and sit in the car and listen to old time radio. I just loved that. It's one of my fondest memories of my dad. So, sometimes adversity is a good thing.
Yeah. Well, my topic would be how do you feel about esports being introduced into ESPN?
Are they going to do that?
Yeah. Well, I believe so, but there's been controversy over it. A lot of the anchors have said that they refuse
that ain't sports. Yeah.
Esports, which are multiplayer competitive games, usually broadcasted on an international stage, usually on the Twitch.tv streaming website.
And that's, by the way, why ESPN's doing it. They're seeing how much money Twitch made and how well it's doing and how much people watch and how many viewers, millions of viewers there are for these games. The number one game I think is still League of Legends, which is it's kind of a fun idea. It's a team game, very much like football or any other, physical sport. Yeah. The difference is
a lot of skill to it. Yeah.
A lot of skill. I mean, believe me, I've tried to play and I can't.
I'm actually ranked about 200,000 out of the let's see, there's I believe 25 million players in the U.S., and then there's another 30 million scattered around Europe and Asia, Korea. Korea is actually its own region.
Oh, Korea, yeah, because they're so good. What's your South Korea? What's your ranking?
I think 288,000 last.
Nice. So do you play just League of Legends? Do you broadcast it on Twitch ever?
Oh no. No, I don't really feel like broadcasting, but I do watch a lot. They had their mid-season invitational, which...
my opinion is, since you ask, let ESPN stick to athletics.
Yeah.
And I think that's what they should do. I'm a big believer in for want of a better word, nativity. That's really a poor choice, but the native platform for a game is in this case in esports is online. There's no reason why an online network shouldn't do esports, because everybody who's interested in it is online. And let go ahead, ESPN, do basketball and football and baseball. You know, most of the people who play online games don't care about what they call sport ball. But there's plenty of people who do. Many, many more do. I think ESPN should stick to it. I think what happens is people in broadcasting panic. I've seen this happen with technology intimately. They go, oh my gosh, everybody's using computers. We got to figure out what to do. So they create, in my case, a technology network. We created Tech TV in 1998. The problem was that the economy, you don't want them to do esports. I'll tell you why. The economy of cable channels is such that they have to get a big audience. A really big audience. And so in order to do that, they ended up, and they did this with Tech TV, dumbing it down, making it more accessible, putting Cops on, and I mean the TV show Cops, putting manga on, because they couldn't draw the millions of people they needed to be financially viable on cable. ESPN would have to do the same thing.
They see that Google buys Twitch. I think it was $1 billion. It might be more.
Right. So they're saying, oh boy. It's the same panic. It happens every time. Then the executives panic and go, well, why aren't we? This is sports. Why aren't we doing it? The problem is twofold. First of all, I mean, it would certainly legitimize esports to some degree to have a major U.S. network broadcast.
ESPN actually needs. They don't actually. Twitch doesn't actually need esports.
Exactly.
Esports. They don't need them. It'd just be nice to have. But I mean,
ESPN should stick to what it does. Now, it would validate esports, I guess, in the eyes of some people who've never heard of this. Many more people would be annoyed and say, oh, the heck with that. I mean, doesn't ESPN do poker? So, I mean, already they're doing non-athletic sports. I mean, it's their choice, but as somebody who is into technology, I don't like seeing mainstream networks try to cover technology.
That is true. But you have to argue the point, like, why does poker have their own thing?
Well, I agree. I mean, look, it's their business. ESPN can and will do whatever they want. If you're if you're a gamer, as you are, or if you like watching esports, I would say that your best bet is to have it covered in a native environment, not have to try to shoehorn it into an existing. Platform. Yeah, do it on its own platform. Twitch works great.
I mean, Xbox lets you stream to it too, and I believe PS4 and all those other systems. Yeah. So I mean,
you get 500,000 views on Twitch. You're doing great, right?
Yeah.
That's not enough for ESPN. They need millions. So what are they going to do? They're going to.
The thing is, the League of Legends series that they just had, which I think spanned over 3 days. They usually have a really long series that doesn't rack up as many.
Right. They're gonna here's what ESPN's gonna do. I tell you right now. They're gonna chop it up. They're gonna show highlights. They're gonna tart it up. And they do this with poker too, by the way, to make it interesting. They chop that sucker up a lot. You're only seeing the big hands, the exciting hands. You don't see the whole game. And I think if you're a fan of esports, you probably do care. If you know League of Legends, you want to see the whole thing. You don't want to see just the big battles. You want to see what strategy is going on. You want commentators who understand it, not commentators who are thinking football, baseball, and basketball. So to me, but ESPN's their own business. That's none of my business what they do. But as a game, if you're a gamer and you like esports, I think what you should be interested in is some platform that's native, an internet platform doing it. And I think that will happen. That's going to happen. You remember, ESPN's just doing it because it's fashionable. And that's a very bad reason to do it. Do it because you love it and you care about it. But this is the good news about media in general is platforms like YouTube, like Twitch.tv, make it possible for all of these things to thrive and to get to the audience that matters with an economy that's very different than the economics of cable television, which I can tell you are horrible. They're devastating. Tech TV lost $300 million in 6 years. That's a business you don't want to be in. So if you're a fan of esports, it'd be kind of cool to be validated by ESPN. That's neat. But really, the coverage you want is going to come from some network, some internet service somewhere where they know it, they love it, they care a lot, they care as much about it as you do. And that's going to happen. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Yeah, you know, I think Chad was telling me that the key on Twitch is not the game you're playing or the commentary you're making, it's talking to the chat room, which is something I've known for 30 years. And so talking to the chat room is what gets him big donations. I know Dr. Mom's not there. That's good. Was she at a conference, right? That's right. That's right, visiting her son. Leo Laporte, the tech guy, 8888 Ask Leo. Twitch, I don't know if I really explained what that is. Amazon bought them for more than $1 billion. That's what that is. It's TWITCH, like muscletwitch.tv. And it's kind of an interesting thing. It was started by Justin.tv, which was a streaming service like Ustream or others. And they decided, you know, people are doing a lot of these, what we call Let's Play videos. You see them on YouTube all over the place. In fact, the #1 guy on YouTube does Let's Play videos, PewDiePie. Let's Play is basically a game. The person on the show is playing a game. Often you'll see them in a little inset box somewhere on the game field, but most of the screen is occupied by the game they're playing. And then they comment. They make jokes. They comment. They have fun with it. And it's very popular, especially among kids. My 12-year-old spends most of his time watching Let's Play videos on Minecraft and other games that he's interested in. Gary's Mod, things like that. So those are very big on YouTube. I think Justin said, wow, you know, a lot of people are doing this. Let's maybe have devote a part of Justin.tv to this. They named it Twitch.tv because it's like twitchy gamers. And it took off huge. So big that they sold the whole thing and went out and basically shut Justin.tv down and sold to Amazon for $1 billion+ bucks. But it turns out that, in fact, I don't think it's that much about the game. I have friends who do Twitch.tv, and what they tell me is, really, if you want to, you can make money on Twitch.tv by ads. Twitch will put ads in it, but mostly you make money from donations. You have a chat room going while you're doing the game, and the chatters can give you money. It can be a lot of money, like thousands of dollars. And my friends tell me that the way to make money, to do well on Twitch, is to talk to the chat room, interact with the chat room. And more when I watch Twitch channels, that's what's going on. It's not about the game. It's about the interactivity between the person doing the Let's Play video and his chat room or her chat room. And it's kind of turning into that. And it's funny because it really shows that what is eternal is interaction, talking to people. What makes great broadcasting isn't somebody watching people play a game. If you've ever seen somebody play a video game, it's not that interesting. Their jaws slack, their eyes are glazed. The only thing moving are their thumbs. And unless you're really into the game, if you're really into League of Legends and you understand the strategy, which is deep and elaborate, then maybe watching the game would be interesting. I watch chess. If you're not, if you don't understand what's going on, it is not the most compelling television. But I like to watch it. And I'll watch it on YouTube, and they do live streamings of the big tournaments, the World Chess Championship, because I understand what's going on, and it's fun, it's interesting, and the commentators talk about it. But I think most of the Let's Play videos, it's not about the game. PewDiePie plays all kinds of games. It's about the jokes, the fun, the mirth, the merriment, and the interaction with the chat room. But it is popular. And I think when ESPN says, "Oh, let's do that," they're just looking at look at all these views. This must be something that's happening. I doubt that you will ever see, I may be completely wrong on this, and I know some gamers really believe this is going to happen. I doubt you will see video gaming broadcast in the same way we watch athletic events. I just don't see that happening. I don't think it's that compelling to watch somebody play a game. Could be wrong, and maybe in the near future it'll become like virtual reality, and it'll be it'll be like the Hunger Games or something. You'll be watching this amazing competition, and that could happen, I guess. More immersive or we are getting to the point, I think, in the next few years where you will be able to watch stuff with virtual reality helmets, which will allow you to look around. Maybe that might be power something, some kind of game broadcast. We're going to go back to the phones in just a second. Yes, like the Pong channel, somebody's saying. Mike's saying in the chat room. Pong. Let's all just watch Pong. Boop, 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 boop. Ed in Philadelphia, Leo Laporte, the tech guy. Hi, Ed.
Hi, Leo. I love your show.
Thank you.
So I was using Pale Moon as a web browser, and I was getting hammered with different ads popping up. So I used Task Manager to find out what was going on, and there was a program called Pure Leads that was running in the background. So I uninstalled it, and then as payback, I got spanked so that now I can't get any access to the Internet.
Whoops. All right, let me talk about what happened. How do you like, by the way, that browser? What is it called? Oh, Project Moon?
No, Pale Moon.
Pale Moon, that's it. That's based on Firefox. It's an open source version of Firefox. You like the browser?
I love it, yeah.
Yeah, so it's not the browser's fault. Malware could come in through any browser. But once you get malware on your system, in this case, Pure Leads, that's, you know, what that is something basically that's going to generate money for a bad guy because it's putting ads on your system. So, and this is a very common thing. Once you get it, removing it can be problematic. If you're really kind of malicious, you can make sure that software installs as part of into a system file or uses the name of a critical system file. And then a removal tool that removes it may, in fact, remove critical parts of your system. And that's what happened. Your TCP stack got clobbered, and you can't get online anymore. And that's because the malware tool was over-aggressive. It got rid of the malware, or you did it. I don't know who did it, but in the process of doing that, you damaged critical system files. So, and that's mostly, in most cases, that's why you can't get online when that happens.
Well, I've done in diagnostics. My laptop, as a matter of fact, I'm watching you on a different computer, on TV.
Good. So your internet's working, your router's working.
Everything's working.
It's that laptop.
As a matter of fact, the diagnostics, the Intel diagnostics shows that I'm actually, the computer's seeing the router. But I can't do I think Windows update.
Yeah, that's because the malware messed that up. You can try the system file checker. Open a command line with Windows R. Type SFC /scan now, one word. But most likely, I hate to say it, you're going to have to reinstall Windows. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. You think that NetShell... I don't know. Is that going to do it, M.W. Dean? Really? I feels like that the TCP stack was clobbered. I see it. You don't have to type it again. Why do you think that'll work, M.W. Dean? Let me look at that command and see what it does. I mean, I don't... You're absolutely right. It could work. I don't know. It's hard for me to say what happened, based on what he said. But it is not... Actually, it's funny. I haven't seen viruses in a long time that did this. It wasn't at all unusual for malware to attach itself to pieces of the TCP stack and just remove it. You were going to remove your TCP stack. So NetShell resets this. Yeah, but see, it's true if... Wouldn't rebooting do the same thing? It doesn't reinstall TCP/IP, or does it? Yeah. It's certainly worth a try. And let's put this in the let's put this link in the show notes here. I'll give it to you. It just depends what happened. This might work. But if you would, James, put that in the show notes. It's also true it could be host. The host file got, something got put in the host file. There's so many things. Yeah, it just changes 2 registry keys. It's not. It's. I mean, I'm not saying it's not possible that that's all that's wrong, but it's not necessarily. It's all a guess, right? Because we don't know exactly what happened. It's completely possible that his whole TCP stack is damaged, in which case you probably would run a reinstall. If it's just these 2 registry keys, then NetShell could fix it. Seems it's just a guess in both cases. The only person who really knows what the command does is probably the person who wrote it. So it's a little bit of a voodoo command. I kind of agree with you, Debug. If it's been compromised enough that your internet's not working, it's probably worth reinstalling Windows. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. 8888-esque Leo. Mike B. in our chat room sent me a YouTube link to a Channel 5 in New York City, which did a show called TV Picks in the 80s, which was essentially in the 80s, okay? Watching people game. Oh, there's Star Raiders, my favorite. Watching people game on the old Atari game system. That was the TV show. And I think no more popular, actually it's Channel 11, I apologize. No more popular now than then. Magic word of the day. Pong 24/7. Gary in Playa del Rey, California. Hi, Gary.
Hi, Leo. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
Good, thank you. So I'm thinking of buying a tablet. I don't own one now. And the recommendations I've gotten have been the Nexus 9 or the Samsung Tab S.
They're both excellent. They're both Android. What do you want to do?
I want to use it for in place of a laptop when I don't want to take my laptop with me.
Right.
And I do business on my laptop, so I might need to run. So I'm a real estate broker.
You use Windows now, right?
No, I use Android now on my laptop.
On your desktop, on your laptop. So, and are there specific programs that you use that need Windows? Is there an MLS service that's Windows only or something like that?
Almost all of the special real estate programs have an Android app.
Ah, that's nice. So you could use Android. I mean, my first recommendation would probably be Microsoft's Surface tablet because it is Windows. There's a Surface 3, which is kind of their low-end, just came out, low-end, not super fast, but kind of great portable. And then there's a Surface 3 Pro, which is full Windows 8 and everything on it. And I think it'd be a kind of a great choice. You could replace your laptop with it, and you have to buy an additional keyboard, but you can detach the keyboard, and it could be a pure tablet. So that's one way to look, which is to stay with Windows, but have a more portable version of it. There are other companies that make these. Lenovo makes the Yoga and so forth. These are all, we call them convertibles. They're tablets that have detachable keyboards, so they can be used as a tablet. And that's the whole point of Windows 8, by the way, is that it works fine on a tablet as well as a desktop.
Right.
So that would be one thing to look at. I think those two Android tablets, like the Nexus 9 and the Samsung, are excellent. The Nexus is Google, so it's pure Google. And, some people prefer that. Samsung adds a number of features, including windowing, the ability to have two different programs running on the screen at the same time that the Nexus 9 cannot do.
Right.
So there are some advantages to the Samsung tablet. I think any of those would be fine, but I would, if I were you, I would consider the new Surface 3.
Okay, I'll check it out.
Yeah, because then you're going to be able to run the same stuff you run on your laptop, and I think that might be an advantage. Now they're not cheap. The Surface 3 starts at about $500.
Right.
The Surface, which is about the same as that Samsung, the Surface Pro is going to be even more. It's going to be about twice that.
Wow.
Yeah,
okay.
Because it's a real computer, and Microsoft's decided not to go after the low-end market. But the Surface 3, which is Atom-based, it's not quite as fast. Probably be everything you want. It's about £1.33 pounds, which means it's pretty light. It's got a nice display, 1920 by 1280. That rivals the Samsung. And you can run Windows apps on it. I think there's something to be said for that.
There is.
Yeah. So it's kind of, you're not going to necessarily save money get going Android. Maybe you should consider the Surface.
I'll take a look at that.
Hey, good. Thank you.
I have one more quick question.
Sure.
I'm going to buy a new laptop. I've been holding off buying it, waiting for Windows 10 rather than buying one with Windows 8 installed. Do you think I'm doing the right thing?
I don't think you need to. We now think Windows 10 is coming out end of July, which is just a couple of months away. Yeah, if you wanted to wait, I guess you could. But what Microsoft's already said is that Windows 10 will work on anything that runs Windows 7 or 8, and we will give you a free upgrade. So if you bought something today, you would be guaranteed an upgrade in 2 months. And I think you will like Windows 10. I think it's a big improvement over even Windows 8.1, which was a big improvement over Windows 8. So now that's another argument for saying don't buy a new laptop, buy a Surface Pro, and you'll get the best of both worlds, right?
Okay. Yep. All right, good. I will check that out, Leo.
Yeah, the Surface Pro 3 is basically a laptop with a detachable keyboard. It's a beautiful screen. You can use a stylus on it. It's pressure sensitive. It's really gorgeous. And you will be able to put Windows 10 on it. Absolutely. It should run beautifully on it. Here's the one argument, though. I'll give you the argument for waiting. And it may be a longer wait than a couple of months because what you might be interested in is hardware specifically designed for Windows 10. I think the biggest difference is going to be the camera. Windows 10 is going to support this new Microsoft, I think they call it the Hello protocol, which will allow you to do biometric identification using the camera. And the cameras are going to be more sophisticated. They're almost going to be like a Kinect, where they have depth sensors and they're higher resolution. So it might be worth waiting for Windows 10 specific hardware. And I don't know if it'll be available, in 2 months. It might be a little bit longer. The other thing to keep in mind with Windows 10 is that Microsoft's saying now this is the last version of Windows. Which is not to say we're not going to make Windows anymore, because they are. But basically, they've decided, look, we're not going to do big upgrades like Windows 8, Windows 7, Windows XP, Windows Vista, Windows 10. You're going to get Windows 10, and then it will be incrementally improved and upgraded forever. That once you install Windows 10, you continue to run Windows Update every month, and as we add features, you'll get those new features. They'll be incrementally improved. Now, this is their current plan. Whether it stays, in 3 years, I might say, gee, we really wish we were making more money on Windows. Let's do Windows 11. But I think that this is kind of the idea, is get everybody, they want, for really important strategic reasons, they want everyone running Windows 10. They say we want to have 1 billion people using Windows 10 in the next 2 years. That's why they're giving it away. Because developers then will say, wow, I've got to write programs for Windows 10. Look, 1 billion potential customers. That's really important. So they're giving it away. They want to upgrade everybody who's running Windows 7, that's business, and Windows 8 and 8.1, that's mostly home users at this point. Businesses just did not jump on the Windows 8 bandwagon, to upgrade to Windows 10. When they get 1 billion users, they have a very compelling argument for developers to write the best software for Windows 10. That's huge. So I suspect that there's a kind of a change in the way Microsoft does business. I also think when you buy a Microsoft hardware, remember, they didn't start making computers until a couple of years ago. These Surfaces are the first computers Microsoft's ever made. For the longest time, Microsoft's business was selling operating systems and software to companies who made the computers. And it was a kind of a departure for them to make hardware. They decided we're going to make good hardware. If we're going to make hardware, we want it to be the best hardware possible to reflect, what we think Windows should be. This is almost a reference platform. So I have to say, the Surface Pro 3, that's the full version, the fast one, even though it's over $1,000 when you add the keyboard and you get enough memory and stuff, is probably the laptop to get today. It'll give you both laptop and tablet functionality. Windows 10 will arrive in a couple of months. But if you want to get the Windows 10 camera, Windows 10 specific hardware, might be things like fingerprint readers and so forth, it might be worth waiting a couple months and see what that comes out. Surface Pro 4. That's the one to watch for. Leo Laporte, the tech guy. More of your calls right after this. I didn't say hardware. I said PC. I said computers. Microsoft's made hardware since day one almost. The first hardware was a card for the Apple II, right? It was a Z80 card for the Apple II. They've made hardware. They made mice and keyboards. These are the first PCs they've ever made. Yeah, I think Microsoft has to. At this point, Microsoft is has to kind of reinvent themselves, which is fine. And I was listening to this Becoming Steve Jobs book, which is a very good book. Cried at the end. No spoilers, but I think Steve doesn't make it. But the guy reading it for Random House, it just drives me nuts. Called it OS X the whole time, and I'm just like going freaking nuts. And half the time he said Silicon Valley, half the time he said Silicon Valley. It just drives me nuts. Gosh, I'm so reluctant to buy an HP computer of any kind. Remember, they're getting out of the PC business. I've used Microsoft mice for years on my Macs. Yeah, it's kind of cool. It's not detachable, but it flattens. If this is what you want, I would look at an Acer S7 or my favorite is the Dell XPS 13, the new XPS 13. I have it right here. Mostly because of the bezel-less monitor. So this is a 13-inch laptop that's really more like 11-inch. It's very compact, and that's because the screen has a bezel-less design. I shall show you. It's a great keyboard, great trackpad, nice feel to it, fairly lightweight. And the screen, as you can see, goes almost all the way out to the edge. So you get a 13-inch screen on a causes of data loss. Backing up your data with no, thanks anyway. It's a beautiful screen. So, I guess the Spectre does detach. So it flips around. Oh, that's cool. So the screen can flip all the way around, which kind of gives you tablet mode without. Yeah, I guess. This doesn't go all the way around. That's as far back as it goes. Don't force it. Oh yeah, it's a Retina. It's gorgeous. High PPI looks pretty good, I think, on this. Most websites do fine. Just reading up on this watch. Whew. Kevin had this watch. Oh my gosh, is it gorgeous. Where should I go here? This is kind of a personal blog. Yeah, it looks fine. I can read it, and of course you can always do this, which is nice. I like these screens. I didn't do any special DPI setting or anything. This is the Dell XPS, they call it the new XPS 13. Chat room's giving me some other recommendations for good Windows laptops. This HP Spectre X360 starts at $900. Is an interesting choice. It's not a convertible. It doesn't have a detachable keyboard, but it does have a keyboard that folds all the way around behind the screen, so it kind of is like a tablet. But you don't get rid of the keyboard. I like, if you really want a laptop, pure laptop, the Dell XPS 13 is the laptop, the Windows laptop I use. This is the new one it's almost a bezel-less screen. It's just a gorgeous screen, and it's very light and thin, but because the screen doesn't have any border around it, it is about as small as 11-inch, but with a nice big screen. So there's certainly a lot. I mean, Windows PCs, there's virtually an infinite number of choices. Peter in Azusa, California. You're next. Hi, Peter. Leo Laporte. The Tech Guy.
Hi, Leo.
Hey, Peter.
I'm here. Hey, Peter. We've been doing some spring cleaning, and we've been digging up a bunch of stuff, and I'm trying to figure out how to digitize some of my media. For example, I found a whole box of audio tapes, but more importantly, I found thousands, probably tens of thousands of photographs of family going back decades. And I'm trying to think of what might be the best way to kind of scan them in. You know, is there a machine that had a theater that would go well with photographs, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, I mean, the problem, first of all, yes, do it. Do it. It's a great idea. Getting all this stuff on hard drive, first of all, it reduces the clutter because you can get a huge amount of stuff on a single hard drive. Make sure you back it up, and back it up again because you don't want to digitize this stuff again. Photos are tough because print photos, you can't really use a feeder on a scanner because some of them are going to be crimped and bent, and they're not going to be flat. They're going to be all sorts of issues. A scanner is going to do it, but if you say you have thousands, you're going to have to. I hope you're retired. You're going to have a lot of time to do this. Most of the time, I recommend people use sites like Scan Cafe. They will send you a box, and you can scan in or load in as many pictures as you can, and then they'll scan them for a flat rate. They're going to do as good a job as you are, and they're going to do it faster. But it's not cheap. Like 22 cents a scan or more. They do every kind. They'll do the VHS tapes. They'll do the Super 8 videos. They'll do all the photos. Even if you have negatives, they'll scan them. Now, if you've got thousands that you want copies of, that's going to cost you, 22 cents times thousands. That's not an insignificant amount of money. We're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars. I did that with our family slides because I didn't want to take the time to scan them all in. And it does take time. Scanners, they go to scan it, then it's on your computer. You might want to clean it up. By the time you're done, you probably spend a few minutes per picture. So it's 22 cents or a few minutes times thousands. It hurts either way. Maybe the best thing to do is, and this is what I do, is to cull the pictures first. Just quickly go through them and say, I got to have that, I got to have that. Eliminate ones you don't need copies of. Pick the ones you really want. Get it down to a few hundred. Send it to Scan Cafe or a similar service, and I think that's going to be probably the best way to do it. However, if you want to do it by hand, there's two ways to go. You can get a scanner. Epson has scanners. They even have sheet-fed scanners that will attempt to feed in the photos, and maybe you can get most of them fed in, and then you get the dog-eared ones yourself by hand. The Epson Perfection Series is what I've used to scan both negatives, slides, and stills. If you're going to scan slides or negatives, you've got to have something that shines light from the top down. Most scanners bounce light off, right? So because it's a piece of paper or a book or an image, the scanner head moves underneath the image, bouncing light off of it into its camera. That isn't going to work with a negative or a slide. You bounce light off of a negative or a slide, you're not going to get an image. You need to pass light through it. So Epson has slide scanners. Many of the Epson Perfections will do both slides and prints. They'll have light from the top or light from the bottom, depending on what you're scanning. Best way, though, maybe to do stills is with a camera. It's certainly the fastest way. You scan, as I said, you go to scan, it goes zzz, it scans across the image. The camera is just a click. So if you have a decent camera, it doesn't have to be super good. If you have 12 or 13 megapixels or better, you'll need an easel, you'll need lights, you'll need a tripod for the camera because you want everything to be, parallel, the camera lens parallel to the image. You want it to be well lit without glare. But once you get this, and of course the camera is going to be on a tripod with a shutter release. But once you get the setup working, and you can buy these setups, by the way, for this, you can very quickly go through the pictures. Because essentially all you do is you put the picture on the easel, click. Next picture, click. Next picture, click. You go through them very quickly. And if it's all set up properly lit, no glare, exactly parallel to the camera sensor, you're going to get as good a picture as any scanner can do. Because the scanner is just taking a picture of the picture. So this is another good way to do. You can even get setups that work with slides and negatives. I think if you decide to do it yourself, your time is worth something as well. This is probably the best way to do it. It was with a still camera. and just get a copy stand, and I'll find some kits for you. I saw one just the other day designed to do exactly this. You need a shutter release. That's probably the best way to do it. If you didn't even if you didn't have a camera, you could probably buy a camera and the setup for about the same as a good scanner would cost you, and it's sure a lot faster. Good luck, though. That's a very much a worthwhile project to do. Cheryl's in Alexandria, Virginia. Hi, Cheryl. Leo Laporte, the tech guy.
Hi.
Hi.
Listen, I bought one of the Winbooks, one of the little Winbook 7s to get some experience.
Yeah.
And I've got over 50 eyes. I really can't see it. So I went.
It's pretty small, but it was $60, right? I mean,
exactly.
You get what you pay for. Okay.
Exactly. And I went shopping for a monitor then, and the Winbook has a micro.
It has a micro HDMI, yeah.
And a USB.
Yeah.
And most of the inexpensive monitors, at least, have a VGA or a DVI, and there is some kind of a converter from a VGA to a
DVI. That's right. Yeah.
Or to an HDMI, to a USB.
Don't go USB. Those are really cheap, like the AOC monitors. Those are designed for like a second monitor. They're not bad. I mean, given that you spent $59 on the computer, you probably don't want to spend more than that on a monitor. So that's one solution. Or you can get an HDMI to DVI converter, because both are digital. They're very similar. The problem you're going to have with and we found this ourselves with the Winbook, is if you put it on a monitor, you're going to have big black bars all the way around it, because the resolution that the Winbook's capable of isn't high enough. It will not fill the screen. So yeah, you can maybe spend a little too much money on this Winbook. I know it. Yeah, so your idea was, let me get to know Windows a little bit and try it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's been helpful, so I appreciate you referring it.
Yeah, you can hook up a monitor to it. It may not be a lot bigger. What did we find, John? It was it 1024 by 768? What resolution were we getting out of that? Yeah, it wasn't super high resolution, and it wasn't filling the screen. It didn't have enough horsepower in it to do that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't buy a monitor unless, it seems like a bad idea.
Okay.
Money, good money after bad. I'm sorry. I recommended that, and I should have probably been more clear. Not as your first computer, because it's so tiny, but just because it's cheap. It's kind of something you play with. Take a look at what I would do, Cheryl, at this point. Look at the HP Streams. They're about $200. They're Windows 8.1. They're actually pretty decent computers, and it's a much bigger screen. And if it's then still too small at 13 inches, they make an HP Stream for 13-inch screen. You can then hook that up to a monitor, and you will get a full-size display, because it's more powerful. I know, $200, but that's probably a better bet than getting a monitor for that little tiny tablet. Hey, we're out of time. Thanks to Heather Hammond, the phone ranger, for lining up great calls. Nathan Staten, our musical director, for rocking out. Thanks to you for joining us. Have a great Geek Week. Leo Laporte, the Tech Guy. See you next time. Well, that's it for the Tech Guy Show for today. I'm Leo Laporte. Thank you so much for joining us. Don't forget, the Tech Guy is just the tip of the iceberg. We do nearly 30 shows now on the Twit Netcast Network, and you'll find them all at twit.tv. We talk about Windows on Windows Weekly, Macintosh on Mac Break Weekly, iPad on iPad Today. You get your daily dose of tech news from Tech News Today, and our weekly roundtable show, This Week in Tech. It's all at twit.tv. And I'll be back next time with another great Tech Guy podcast. Thanks for joining me. See you next time.